Here is Howard, and it is intercepted. J.T. Woods rips it off for Baylor. Inside the 10 and a first and goal for the Bears on our first turnover.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Here comes Butler. He's shifty. Look at that. Look at this.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Looking to get to the edge, and he gets there. There goes Abner into plus territory. 1 minute to beat. How about a Baylor touchdown to open our second half? 100 yards to the house.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Sliding. Throwing. Touchdown, Dallas. C.D. Lamb.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio in studio today. Craig Smoak, David Smoak, and Paul Catalina, and a little bit of a mix-up, and so that's the way it is. I'm going to get into the offensive line at Baylor. Maybe some names that, of course, have been on the radar, but perhaps not. We'll have that today. We'll also hear from Kendra Gillespie from Harding Prep High School in Oklahoma, who committed to Baylor women and Nikki Cowan on Friday afternoon. She'll join us today at 4:20. Olympian Jeremy Warner at 4, and yes, Phil Bennett will grace our presence today at 5 o'clock. I called him, I guess, over the weekend, and he said, "You're not going to believe I've been talking about you." He was at dinner down in San Antonio. He was talking about how pumped up he is about what he can do for that defense at North Texas. He'll join us today at 5 o'clock. There's a lot to get to, but the offensive line, I'll get into this in a minute. But how about the sports world, to try not to just take too much time to summarize it? England frustrated again. And listen, I'm going to get into some of the issues, coaching decisions, because I am the soccer aficionado. Also, Acuna's out for the year. Home run derby tonight, right? All-star break. Rangers get lighter from Vanderbilt. On top of all of that, Messi finally wins a championship. NBA Finals 2-1. What am I missing as far as across the – and there's this Kansas football story involving Les Miles and his staff. We will dig into that as well. What am I missing from over the weekend?
I don't think anything.
So the England-Italy soccer
Conor
match.
McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
That was kind of a big
I'm watching
story.
that live. Craig and I back and forth texting, and all of a sudden, McGregor off to a nice start, but eventually just the body and power of Poirier he can't keep him off of him, and he's up against the fence in the cage again, and then all of a sudden, the broken ankle right at the end of the first round. And maybe, I don't know what Conor's future is, but how about that ending, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and now we get to do the whole, he'll rehab, and then he'll come back, and he'll get to fight Poirier. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about McGregor and Poirier Part 4. I do not care. And I, have made my bones about Conor. Always be a fan of his to an extent, but he started dragging Poirier's wife into it right before the fight, and she had gone into his Instagram DMs or whatever. I don't know what all that's about. That's for Dustin Poirier to figure out. But Conor was even making those comments. He's laying in the cage with Joe Rogan laying next to him because obviously he can't walk, and he's still taking his shots about Poirier's wife, and he's going to come back. And I just didn't care at that point because we've seen this fight 3 times. Poirier was whooping his ass. And now Conor looked good. I mean, it wasn't like the fight was over or anything, but Dustin was in control of the fight. Like, he was winning the fight. And so that's 2 fights in a row where it appeared that Dustin was the better fighter. Now, again, we don't know what the outcome would have been, but the outcome was determined with Conor's ankle breaking, and I really don't care to see this act for yet another time. I mean, he feels like a guy who had his shine. He got twisted up by the money and the cash and the fame and the girls and all that kind of stuff, started getting into trouble. And I saw somebody make a really great point, and they're absolutely right. Has any guy made more money for losing more than he wins than Conor McGregor? And I had to sit back for a second and go, you know what? That's absolutely correct. Because he's hardly won in like the last 5 years. And yet we talk about him like he's Muhammad Ali. And so, yeah, that was something from the weekend that was pretty big time.
And sometimes, look, you need to read the tea leaves. A broken ankle at Conor McGregor's age. I know he's going to rehab and fight again. But sometimes, the universe is telling you something.
Yeah, could be. I mean, he's not old. He's not even 35 or even close to 35. He's like 32 or something like that. But, I mean, he's been exposed over and over again. The guy can strike and he can knock you out, but he can't grapple for, spit. He can't wrestle hardly. He can't defend all that well. Like, he's okay at those things, but he's really not a great all-around fighter, and he's been exposed. And his shtick, even I saw a lot of people at the press conference. I know we got to move on, but it's interesting. At the press conference, he was doing the whole thing that he normally does, and I saw a lot of people for the first time going like, it just sounds like he's forcing it. It doesn't sound like it's naturally like just that trash talk when he was really, running things. It sounded like he's trying to sound like the guy who used to be the guy. Yeah,
as much as they do to get themselves ready for a fight, whether he was ready for the fight with Poirier back earlier this year, but the amount of training they go into it, and he at least still had a puncher's chance, but he was getting physically beaten up, and then all of a sudden you break your ankle. We'll see what happens with that. Now, I do want to get Jack involved in the England-Italy Copacabana, whatever that was called, the European final. We'll get into that. Go ahead, Craig. You said what?
I was going to say there's another big story over the weekend. That was Kansas. And the report on Kansas about paying off a player to basically leave the program. And this has been not just a story this weekend on Kansas. This has been over a year now of reports coming out of Kansas. Les Miles forced out. Jeff Long has to quit. Paying off a player to basically go away. I don't know if I buy all the loosen and the lug nuts and all that stuff. That just seems really odd to me, and I don't know who really...
Well, the player is no longer at Kansas because he was given a payoff to leave. Because he thought he was having his life threatened.
Yeah, he thought he was getting threats, and it's just a whole weird thing. So I don't know if I believe every single accusation or every single little thing like the loosening of the lug nuts and all of that, but, I mean, what's the difference between this and the Baylor story at this point? And so I put out a tweet last night of when are we going to hear the Big 12 come out, which they should on Wednesday, and say we're going to withhold 25% of Kansas's money? Because tell me what's different. It's allegation after allegation. Les Miles is a dirty, rotten fool and should never coach college football ever again at any level, not even Dave Bliss getting the Oklahoma Baptist job or whatever. So this story is being talked about a little bit, but I don't know why. I'm being dead. I'm not saying that to let's defend Baylor here. They legitimately should have 25% of their revenue taken away based on what we've seen.
Well, that's the entire Kansas athletic department.
Yes.
The men's basketball program, as we know, that's just still floating out there as well. But if you haven't read the story, I read it. I think, okay, this is the last paragraph. And then it was and then and it's very long. You got to have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to read the whole thing. But a player who transferred in was on the team, coaching changed, and all of a sudden he and some other players didn't get along very well. And bottom line is he said that they stormed into his apartment. I think his father, his mother, maybe his sister were there, called 911. And then it took a while for a guy named Reed, who was a part of the athletic compliance office, and this family to have basically negotiate his leave. And we'll pay lots of money along the way, including your trip and your travel and the moving cost. And here's another, and you get your stipend for another year. It's like $30,000 or so. But again, pick and choose what you want when it comes to the national columnist or college football media on what they think is a story. It is a story, and someone reported on it. The Kansas City Star did, and it didn't. It's not a good look for KU football.
No, and it's out there now. I think that the media's now done their part of this and reporting it. Now it's on the Big 12, like Craig said, to respond to it based on their history, how they did with Baylor.
Well, yeah, so maybe a question on Wednesday, and if we get Bob Bowlesby to sit down with us, if that is possible, and it should be, Bob, what are you going to do about Kansas? And you don't ask the question, you fined or you withheld Baylor until sometime this fall over 4 or 5 or so years. That's not how you phrase the story. What are you going to do about Kansas athletics? And then see how that maybe evolves into the possibility that they have some penalties or if they have some money withheld from them as well.
I think, between the Bill Self stuff and all the stuff they're going through with that, all the stuff with Les Miles, I mean, this guy is paying off a player to basically go away, and I don't think that's the most damning thing. He was also hitting on female students. I mean, he was crossing like every line he could cross, basically. And so that's going on simultaneous with what's going on with the basketball program, simultaneous with Jeff Long stepping away. And how is this all that different from what was going on at Baylor when Ian McCaw stepped away and Ken Starr finally stepped away and Art Briles got fired? And, it looks to me an awful lot like what was going on just in terms of being nefarious. And it's not the exact same, but there's far more as far as allegations and evidence against Les Miles than there ever was against Art Briles.
Yeah, most of the stuff against Art Briles was perception.
Yeah.
And or just throwing out numbers and grabbing whatever attorneys were saying along the way. Again, we'll have Jeremy Warner today at 4. Will London Friday night in Atlanta won his 400-meter race and he's on the Olympic team, but continues to kind of, strengthen his ability to be as involved with what they're doing in Tokyo as anything.
Well, if you remember when he was on the show, he was not happy about just qualifying. He was happy about qualifying, but he was not happy with his time and where he finished in his qualifier. So you could hear it in his voice. I mean, he was, relieved to be on the team, but this was not content, satisfied, or anything above. Now, I want to get into Baylor's offensive line a little bit, too, as well. 254-339-1122, your calls, questions, and opinions. Okay, Jack, before I do that, I am not, by any means, someone who understands there's like 9 different soccer tournaments that always seem to be going on at the same time, and I don't say that flippantly. I really sometimes don't get it. I know Messier won with whoever.
Messi is a hockey player.
Yeah, Messi won his first true championship.
His first international championship.
Okay.
So the first time he won with Argentina.
Then there's England, and we know that they have not won a championship, since 1966 or whatever.
Yep.
And they had this opportunity. They're up 2 kicks to 1, and then they throw up all over themselves. Now give the Italian goalkeeper, who's a great player, a phenomenal amount, but the coaching decision that brought in players at the very end of the match who eventually kicked these kicks,
England's
whatever,
3rd and 4th penalties.
And both of them failed.
Yeah. One missed and one had it blocked.
Were they entrenched enough in the game to know that they were going to this is what it was going to go.
No, it was practically the first time either of them had kicked the ball in the entire
They had
match.
not lathered up at all. And both of them missed, and one of them was just an absolute, I hate to say it, it was a choke job. He hit the left of the bar, and the goalie was nowhere near. So they lose. Italy wins, and that was in Wembley, right? Wembley Stadium.
Yep.
So that was
in
huge.
London.
So that's Italy. They've won 6 of these things apparently. That's pretty impressive. But did the coach make mistakes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's statistical evidence to say that people shoot relatively 5% lower percentage on penalty kicks if you're subbing them in that late.
And the thing is that they were dictating most of the tempo the last 10 or 15 minutes of that match as far as the extra time or whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I will say, though, it had me thinking about soccer, and you made the comment in a text about, how young the guy was. And I don't think in America we realize, and maybe we forget this or just don't realize it when talking about these college kids and going and being pro athletes and all that, is that when you're 16, you can be a pro making millions of dollars in European soccer. And as a matter of fact, by the time you're pushing 30, you're an old man. So they strike while the iron's hot. Not like 13s out there playing for Manchester United or anything, but you could be 16 and be out there, and you're damn sure going to be 16, 17, 18, early 20s, and then they'll start to say, well, you're probably getting a little bit older in some cases. You're not going to watch guys playing really high level into their 40s, Jack. I mean, like you would with Tom Brady. Like there's not examples like that.
Not in your 40s, no.
No, yeah, there's not a Tom Brady. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, the younger guys can strike it rich. And so I think America could probably look at that and say, here's how we can make it work. And we kind of have before. But they do it pretty well over there, and it's part of normal society. So,
all right, one other note in baseball. Max Muncy with a walk-off home run. Late last night, the Dodgers win as they go into the All-Star break. He's a part of the All-Star team, the former Baylor great. He's going to join the show. We believe it's going to be on Wednesday of this week. And then Jose Altuve, the Yankees have been beating up the Astros sometime during the year. Astros, of course, have a big lead in the West. And Jose Altuve launches a 3-run homer earlier in the day to walk it off to beat the Yankees.
I think it was the end part that was the better part about Jose Altuve.
His shirt being ripped off his body?
Yeah, because of the, Jose Altuve has a buzzer or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what that was about.
So they ripped his shirt off. He's completely, like his upper body's completely nude, naked. And so the Astros hit the break in a high note as well. And the biggest news of the weekend is I was told that there's going to be a bypass that will be done by January on Highway 31 around Corsicana.
Fantastic.
That is perhaps economic development news that is breaking among all the other things we brought up today. And Novak Djokovic won his 20th Grand Slam title to tie Federer and Nadal.
Yeah. By the way, that bypass on 31 only affects 2 people in this room, but affects them enough to where I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It doesn't make sense to have a town when your main thoroughfare has no turn lane. That's dumb. That's just dumb and bad city planning, and yet that's what Corsicana thinks is awesome, as to have no turn lanes through your Broadway, basically. So whenever anybody needs to turn to get into the Walmart or whatever, everybody has to stop. Yeah. And it's stupid. It's the worst traffic plan. I don't know how they've even had it.
It used to be the same in Athens, and then they did a half a loop, and it used to be a way in other places as well. But
don't get me started on those people in Athens.
Also, the United States lost to Nigeria in basketball in an exhibition game, but Epe Udo, of course, is a part of the Nigerian team. And I text him, I say, congratulations, you want to come on Monday? He goes, let's see how we do Monday first before we go jumping into anything, knowing it's an exhibition game. And that'll give Greg Popovich plenty of ammunition to be able to get his team tweaked up for whatever they have next. Remember the story about Barstool and paying athletes in this NIL? Well, not so fast. Barstool is not able to do this, apparently, because they are attached. Let's see. Barstool, they are not allowed to hire athletes because of the connections to gambling in some particular ways. There's a specific legal reason for that. So that has been apparently nuked.
Yeah, well, Dave Portnoy essentially runs a casino. I mean, that's one of the things that he's got his hands in. And so even though, you can try to separate it out into shell companies all you want, but Barstool's Barstool. I mean, a lot of their money comes from gambling. So, that's one of the rules in every single one of these state laws, and it's one of the ones that the NCAA, even in their lack of, overall rules, is not going to let slide. They just can't do it.
Yeah, and still, I'm sure there's some give and take here, but that I saw that from Dan Lust, Sports Law Lust on Twitter, that the connections with Barstool, it appears as if that is not going to be able to happen. Let's see here.
Well, it seems as though they've created a separate LLC to get away from that, but I guess Dan Lust still thinks that it could be an issue. I don't know. There's other companies that are similar, so it's not like this is strictly a Barstool thing, but I do see it as a bit of a conflict of interest due to the gambling aspect, but it doesn't look like it's been completely shut down. They're trying to get around it, and we'll see what happens.
Here's one of the things. This is from working with Barstool is not allowed because even if you don't promote gambling directly, you are still promoting a company that owns a sports betting site app, and that goes against NCAA rules and Massachusetts state laws. Now, that's a state law as well, so it could get a little complicated along the way.
And I see him say here where people are blindly assuming Barstool is going to be allowed to be able to sponsor people, and he said that the rush to see everybody signing Barstool deals was a bit alarming because you sign these deals in front of you, and these deals might not actually go through. So, again, time will tell. But
all right. So, again, guest today, we'll have Kendra Gillespie from Harding Prep in Oklahoma. She committed to Baylor late Friday afternoon. She'll join us at 4:20. Jeremy Warner at 4, the Olympic gold medalist. And then also today, Phil Bennett at 5 o'clock. When we come back, a couple of comments from Trayvon Bromell. We'll take your calls, text messages, 254-339-1122. And this is SicEm365 Radio. The Woodway Family Center hosting this month, August and September, ages 6 through 13, Explore Skateboarding Clinics. There are other. You can go to woodwayfamilycenter.com for all of the information of what they're doing. Also, various clinics that are going on throughout the summer in Woodway, tennis, basketball, gymnastics. Registration continues right now. Incredibly talented coaches, including there was a minor league baseball player helping with the baseball clinic recently. Also, there's volleyball. Former Baylor star Katie Smith and even Shelby Livingstone is helping with the volleyball clinic. They have had archery clinics, running disc golf clinics. And I remember there was a big tournament that was on MLK over near the Brazos East, off of Brazos River. I mean, for days, and hundreds of cars and people participating on the disc golf course on MLK. Also, go to discoverwoodway.com for more information. And also, if you need a place to stay, if you're coming in to be a part of the clinics or any kind of competition, there are 7 hotels in Woodway. Go to discoverwoodway.com. But more information, go to woodwayfamilycenter.com for all the clinics, camps, and registration information.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Hey, by the way, Gabriel Garcia, if you're watching or listening to us today, good to have you. Nice to know that you're watching and listening to SicEm365 Radio. I talked to your son. I guess it was over the weekend. I happened to bump into him, and he said, "Oh, my dad watches that all the time." And I was like, "On YouTube?" He goes, "Yes." So Gabriel Garcia, thank you for listening, watching SicEm365 Radio. 254-339-1122. Real quick note, offensive line. Doesn't have to be a quick note. Can carry over to the rest of the hour. Then Steven and also T-Rex will join us. Offensive line. The most talented player among everybody they have is Micah Maskua. And it's just a matter of when you talk about physical, you talk about talent, you talk about technique, you talk about all of the intangibles, talent-wise, gifted-wise. He's got it, but he's got to understand it with making sure, growing up a little bit, and also even the playbook and things like that. But he could be the key to the whole thing because he has the ability, if he gets it, and the clock is ticking, of course, to play at the next level. That's something that I kind of got some of that in the last couple of days. Also, Gall has solidified that middle, the kid from Buffalo. But that still doesn't mean that Grant Miller's like, well, whatever happened to him. He's one of those that feel like he could play both positions. You have a few of those. Randy Clements had some of those. Most of his transition, though, came in the offseason. Don't yet just give up the boat on Xavier Newman. Yes, I know we've heard that before. Galvin at left tackle. But Giancarlo Valentine, your clock is ticking, young man, and you have the ability. And the matter is, you understand that your clock is ticking. I'm sure he does. They've had conversations with him. But Maskua and Valentine might be the two most talented, gifted offensive linemen they have. But right now, you can't count on them until they show it sometime in August and in the fall.
Well, Maskua is a younger player, so that's good news, is that he should be around for at least 3 more years. He was a redshirt freshman during spring ball, so really 4 years if he wanted, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, you would hope having a fifth-year senior, actually a fifth-year senior because he never got the redshirt, Xavier Newman, would be beneficial to you, but he did not have the best year last year. I think as much of their problem last year was they weren't in shape. They did not look like they were physically imposing in any way, shape, or form. The 1-11 year, they had some guys that looked okay, but then by the time Matt Rule really sunk his teeth into the team, you saw their bodies change. You saw them get bigger. You saw them get stronger. You saw them get faster, and you saw them get a lot tougher. And, the Texas game is like example number 1 of just absolutely imposing your will on somebody and not having to beat them 50-0, but be leading by 2 scores and have it feel like 50-0 because you're kicking their ass so bad. That's what that Texas game was 3 years ago. And that's what they had turned into. And then last year with the coaching change and a lack of spring ball and all those things that we've talked about ad nauseum, they got roughed up by teams last year. Now, granted, they had come off a 4-week COVID pause with no practices and had to go play like a team who's played 4 weeks in a row. And so that was disadvantageous. But, I think the physical side of things is as much of what was missing last year as anything else. And hopefully that's something that gets corrected or has been corrected this offseason.
Yeah, Matt Rule stepped into a situation where it wasn't like the guys weren't talented. It's just there was no one. I mean, there was only 6 guys when he walked in the room, and you have to have freshman play and everything that happened with that. So, but then when you have no guys and 3 of them are leaving after that year, you've got a problem. I mean, you've got to rebuild it up from scratch, and that's where I think we in addition to the fact that they were out of shape, you kind of saw that was the comeuppance from not having guys 2 years ago.
Well, there's no question that some guys needed to lose some weight, some guys needed to gain muscle weight along the way during the offseason, and they feel as if they turned that corner, yet they still have to learn to play one way or the other where they are weight-wise.
Yeah, they just weren't really physically all that impressive last year. And again, I know there's pause after pause, and having had COVID, I know how you feel afterwards, and I know I still kind of feel it sometimes even now, just being tired or whatever. So, having to play a football season, starting and stopping like that, I'm sure was really difficult and affected weights and things like that. But, yeah, I mean, I think just getting better physically once again will be huge for this team. But, I mean, it's good to hear about Mescua. I mean, for Newman, this is it. There's no more bonus year, so hopefully he has the best year of his Baylor career. Casey Phillips, there's a lot of talk about him, and that's great, but, talk is talk. Talk's not walk, and they need some of these young guys to walk. They need Valentine to walk. They need Phillips to walk. They need these guys to do more than just be potential at this point.
Most Jeffrey, Khalil Keith, and getting the feeling from just doing my conversations about the offensive line, getting the feeling that this is not a talent issue. It is a getting it together issue to either be mentally or physically or both better, stronger, more violent in a football way, and or understanding the responsibility of being a scholarship football player.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of lack of confidence, too, with this unit, and that's probably something that Eric Mateos is going to have to work on and build back up as well, because, I mean, when you've been playing offensive line for Baylor the last 3 years, you probably don't have a whole lot of confidence.
The one negative out of all this is the fact, and then to the calls, is that we've heard this now for almost 5 years. Although that team in 2019 was physically, they were able to maul some people, and not like overtake it, but they were physically good enough to do that. And it worked with what their style was, complementary with their defense, is that that they did not have many practices back-to-back where all of them were okay, where all of them were healthy, all of them were there. And that, again, is something that just, can set you back no matter the talent level or the expectations. The perception, though, get this feeling that the perception of what we think of the offensive line is not quite what they think it is inside that football office.
That's good.
Then that's a good thing. That's not just like, this is getting it from where it's not just trying to like, hey, we're not. This is the perception. They are better inside that offensive line room than people may realize, and that's why Eric Mateos, Jeff Grimes, and others have some work to do. Steven, good afternoon on SicEm365 Radio, and thanks for your call.
Hey, guys. I wanted to start with a quick USA basketball note because I'm one of the few people who watched them lose to Nigeria. And I'd like to say that is why Kevin Durant is not going to be the best basketball player in the world ever, even when LeBron James retires. Team USA was down 2 points with about 3.5 minutes left to go, and Kevin Durant went down the floor and almost demanded the basketball, or the coaches demanded he get the basketball, and missed 4 consecutive shots. And Nigeria had 3 baskets returning on 4 of those misses. And I fell asleep with about 1.5 minutes to go because I knew that they weren't going to win that day. If you were going to claim that you're the best player and all these things that Kevin Durant claims to do, then when you are the best player on USA and they're saying you need to go get a bucket, after the second miss, I expect you to go find somebody else. Because he was about 2 of 11 or 2 of 15 in that game, and that was really sorry. And I hate to come on Kevin Durant like that. But what I wanted to bring to y'all was the tea leaves in the all Big 12 teams, the coaches poll, the media poll, is that this is about a 4 or 5 win football team. So I hope that we can have realistic expectations and know that there are maybe about 7 or 8 games that this team could win, but that if they go 4-8 or 5-7, it's not the worst thing in the world because they're building to something. And the recruiting class is amazing, and there's so much going on here. And sometimes I worry that in the past, some of us fans have been, some of Baylor's worst critics when, Charlie Brewer was struggling or when, Coach Rule's first year was struggling. And I think Coach Aranda and the staff have really hit on a number of things that I'm really impressed with. So I really hope that we can give Coach Aranda a chance to really grow into next season. So I'll catch y'all later, guys.
Thank you, Steven. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I think that's about what everyone. I think that's the 6 or 7, the tea leaves. There's some that say more than 7, some that maybe say 5. But I think 6 or 7 is a fair number. I think that's a fair number to look at.
I think, being a bowl team is more than fair. I've said it a million times now at this point, but you should have 2 automatic wins. So you should match last year's win total by the first month of the season. You play Kansas in the first month, so the first month of the season you should be 3-1 at worst, or 4-0. So if you start the first month of the season at 3-1 and 4-0, and you can't find 3 or 2 more wins the entire rest of the schedule, you can't beat Tech and like K-State or something, then that'll be what it is. But I'm not predicting anything more than 7 wins. I'm predicting them to be a bowl team. That's all I've said, and I'll stick with that. And I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be a bowl team with all the questions that they do have. I still think that they've got plenty of answers that are there to mean that they should be able to win 6 games. But that's just me.
One other note in baseball, and I agree with you on that number. McLennan College did have a player drafted by Milwaukee in the 4th round. A little note: Henderson, Jason Henderson, a pitcher, true freshman, who also has committed. He can return to MCC or follow through on a commitment to Texas A&M if he does not sign sometime this summer. So that's a note from the Major League Baseball draft, the local name in Logan Henderson, I think. I said Jason. Logan Henderson, a pitcher from McLennan College.
Well, there was a local in Andy Thomas who was drafted by the Mariners just a little while ago. Baylor catcher, selected at pick 144 here within the last hour. So Andy Thomas is headed to the Seattle Mariners as of just about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, and a tremendous career that he's had so far at Baylor, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens with him as well. All right, T-Rex, good afternoon on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for the call.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Beautiful Monday. Hope it's beautiful where y'all are. If not, well, you got Tuesday, so look forward to it. Couple things. I'll try to be quick. Real quick to answer Steven. Kevin Durant learned everything he does at the University of Texas. Take that as you will. So I ain't no surprise in how he plays the game. Anyways, I love when you talk about soccer or tennis or like anything else, Smokey. I love it because I can tell you just love talking about sports, but you really don't know what you're talking about half the time, and I love it. And it's awesome. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. It's great. It's good entertainment. It shouldn't be free. This should not be free. But I will say this about England. They've been losing and making terrible decisions since 1776. They thought they were going to escape in Yorktown, and they thought they were going to put in 2 subs and kick PKs to beat Italy. Man, the only reason England beat Italy in World War II is because we were involved. Like, the world needs to, stop talking about it's coming home, it's coming home. It looks like it ain't coming home, England. So, you know what? USA all the way every day. That's all I got to talk about that. Real quick, I did want to talk about the Barstool Sports. Found that very interesting as they actually have a page, if you haven't seen it on Twitter. It's just Barstool Athletes, I believe is what it's called. And, I mean, every, 30 seconds they're posting a new college athlete that has apparently signed with Barstool Sports. And we actually have a Baylor football player, I think last week, one of our deep snappers, Gunnar Royer, I believe, apparently signed with Barstool Athletics. So be interesting to see how that plays out, whether it's just a state law situation with the gambling connections or if it ends up being something bigger than that. But so far, assuming that Baylor compliance is on top of things, we have a Baylor athlete that's a Barstool athlete. But, I mean, they're signing field hockey players. I just looked at it. There's field hockey, rowing, obviously football, basketball, all the big sports. But they're covering everything, obviously a marketing gimmick for them. But, hey, if you want to pay our deep snapper, as long as he's deep snapping good, then that's all that matters. Last thing I got, this football team, I love your point about the offensive line. We got some guys that have a lot of potential, but they got to get there. I think this offseason really is going to play a big role. We all have to understand last year everything that played a part in that. COVID, no offseason, et cetera, new coaching, all that. We got to understand that. This year, we have, I would say, a medium floor. I think our floor really is 5-6 wins. And our ceiling, I don't know why our ceiling can't just be Big 12 champions. Hell, why can't it be a playoff right? Anybody can go to the playoff. We're a Power 5 team. I ain't saying that's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. We didn't think we were going to win the Big 12 or have a chance to win it in 2019. We played Vanderbilt in the Texas Bowl. The next year we compete for a Big 12 championship, possibly the playoff. Hey, anything's possible. Like I always say, I have a wife now. Anything is possible. Paul Catalina has a following on Twitter. Anything is possible. And David Smoak got the COVID shot. Anything is possible, Baylor Nation. Anything is possible.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point. Thanks a lot, T-Rex. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your time. Steven and T-Rex, 254-339-1122, an array of many things.
Yeah, I saw Barstool sign some Quinnipiac female lacrosse player. So, I mean, it's not even a money thing. It's just a, like, hey, as many people as possible. And they haven't doesn't appear that that's updated in a while. Like, their last mention is 4 days ago. At least on this one page it was. Okay, now there's a Western Illinois football player in the last 10 minutes and a UConn lacrosse player in the last 20. So it's almost like so much that it's pointless, quite frankly.
Well, and part of it is that Dave Portnoy is never one to, like, make a point or show what he can do, even if it's, ultimately inconsequential. Like, if he's got a thing that he believes in or thinks is cool, then he's going to run with it. That company, that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's how they started.
They're getting attention. So, I mean, if that's the point, then it's working, I guess. But again, I kind of feel like I did when the whole NIL thing started of let's see how it goes. I mean, I think we're really not going to see much until football season starts because I don't know about y'all, but it's died down. It's definitely died down in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you're seeing deals being made left and right. I'm not.
I'm actually, to be honest with you, the lead up was to me more important than anything else, and then kind of see those first 2 or 3 days, and now I'm not saying this, but it almost feels like a tree fell in the forest.
Yeah, I mean, it's you see a little thing here and there, but I mean, ultimately, my mind's not been blown in any way, shape, or form. I haven't been like, wow, I can't believe what an incredible, like none of that. So, yeah, I mean, if it's just a bunch of barstool mentions, then cool, but I think when football season rolls around, that'll really be telling on just what NIL is going to look like.
Because what will happen during football season is somebody we've never heard of.
We'll get really good.
We'll get really good, and he'll be the next big thing, and then he'll get some money. Same thing with basketball and everything else. But somebody in every sport that you've never heard of will get really good. And then I think the good thing is that especially in the non-revenue sports, if somebody is famous for being a great softball player, they might be able to start making money at softball a little earlier than having to go to Team USA and do that. Like, Jenny Finch could have made money from her freshman year on. She was that popular and that good. So who's the Jenny Finch that can do that? That's what this really is. I mean, it's a big deal, but for all the other things, it's just establishing a basic American right for people who didn't have it for a long time.
By the way, we will be on Wednesday evening after the first day of our coverage at Big 12 Media Days in Arlington. We'll be at Three Nations Brewing Company, a meet and greet Wednesday at 7 o'clock at their location at 1033 East Vandergrift. It's just off of I-35 in Carrollton. We'll have some of the SicEm365 staff will be there. Also, Three Nations Brewing Company, 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday, along with a mezzanine on the second floor that offers you a great overview of the equipment at the brewery and also a patio to relax if you want under the shade. In fact, they have food there, all made on site, freshly prepared, street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers, dogs, veggie burgers too, State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and much more. Three Nations Brewing Company, East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton. We'll be there on Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
And by the way, in about 90 seconds, if you have deja vu, it's not deja vu.
All right, when we come back, Trayvon Bromell, a couple of notes from him. He was at a press conference, grabbed this, the former Baylor star, and also what right now is the elite sprinter on the U.S. Olympic team, on his grind to get back to where he is today, and also the getting ready for Tokyo and the Olympic Games, along with much more. And then eventually that leads us into Jeremy Warner, the former gold medalist, Baylor track and field star, U.S. Olympian, SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be. He told me, or his staff told me, that they, at one time, over a 3-day period, had like 120 to 150 different clients that came through their door. and then maybe 80 to 100 the next couple of days. So 200 plus people that walk through their front door to be a part of what he does, which is testosterone, which is trying to help you become the high-performance man you want to be. Oh, by the way, that was in 1 week. That does not include those who inject themselves with testosterone levels when you're at home. PettyClinicalOT.com, located in Woodway, just off 84 on Hewitt Drive, on Hewitt Road. PettyClinicalOT.com. Here's what you can do. If you felt lethargic, your sex drive is not what it needs to be, something's missing. As you get older, Mother Nature, Father Time take over. Dr. Petty will set you up to get blood work, check your testosterone levels, and if they're too low, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you can become the high-performance man you want to be across the board. PettyClinicalOT.com. Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
On Friday we had this behind-the-scenes look of Trayvon Bromell along with Raven Saunders, who's a shot put, U.S. Olympian. So Trayvon Bromell, this was out from the agency that represents him, on where he is as they approach the Olympic Games in Tokyo, as that is now within 2 weeks. And the grind of getting to where he is today.
The Olympic trials is always going to be tough. I feel like for any country, at the end of the day, you got to go out there and put forth your best effort. For me, it was just a great opportunity to be back. Because, going out in 2016 the way I did with getting hurt, having this long road back and then coming back to the same position that I left out at, it's a lot, mentally to think about it, trying to stay stable and humble as possible, not to count anybody out. So I don't want to get complacent. At the end of the day, I just try to put in my work, and then when the time comes, just go out there and run.
And of course, won the 100 meters in the U.S. Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon.
Anybody else know that fat Mercedes hat on his head?
Yeah,
Was he Lewis Hamilton all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Is he on a Mercedes deal? Because if he is, then good for him. But, he definitely has blinged up a little bit. That chain was shining. Those earrings were shining and dangling. And, he looks good, looks happy, and looks like he's getting some sponsors. So that's great.
And if you think he's getting them now, if he goes to Tokyo and he can win it, which, of course, is then he's the world's fastest man, and at that moment – then good for him, considering he's come back from the injuries he has suffered.
Think about the potential. Like, world's fastest man is kind of even still up there with heavyweight champion of the world, even though that one's been tainted in the days since
Muhammad
Ali. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean,
There's two.
It was, but yeah, quarterback of the Cowboys or center fielder for the Yankees or something like that, fastest man alive is something that for the rest of his life, he could do this Olympics and none other. And for the rest of his life, he has that. And that is something that's really amazing.
Yep, no question. And now it of course, took a lot because of where he was. I mean, he was basically, his legs were not good anymore. ACL, whatever it was, knees, bones, everything that was a problem. And he talks about the road back.
I tell everybody, the people around me, I try to get people to understand, like, God put us on this earth with all us, right, for a reason. We weren't born here and just move alone. So friends, family, team, coaches, agent, everybody around me contributed to me being back here in front of y'all. It wasn't just me. Like, I didn't wake up and just had the ability to go out here and run fast again. It take a village, to help build someone up into that potential. So I thank the people that's around me, because if it was just me, I wouldn't be here. I tell y'all that all the time. 2018, as a human, I didn't feel no reason why I even still live, because I'm like, I came into a sport that I felt saved my life, and I lost it all. And then it was like nobody there for me. Like, I felt like I was just in a dark environment. Like I said the other day in Monaco, I felt like I was a shadow to the world. So for me, it was like, man, I had some people around me that was able to contribute mentally and to my spirit to help me get back here. Like, it wasn't a single thing.
He has the fastest 100, I believe it's this year in June, and he did a 9.77. There's a runner from, I believe, Hungary. Nope. RSA. What's RSA, Paul and Craig? Has a 9.84. And then there's a couple other runners from Bracey and Baker in the 9.85 range. Those are the best 100 meters so far this year.
Yes, you're correct, Craig.
But he does have the 9.77 from back in June of this year.
Did you see his post from like a week ago about the cardboard beds they're using at the Olympics?
No.
Yeah, so the Japanese people on average are much smaller than like your typical American. So I think things would probably, especially for like Team USA basketball, is probably like a tight fit anyways. But I mean, shoot, it's people from all over the world. And Trayvon, I guess, got a glimpse of the beds that they're using there. And the beds are basically made out of cardboard. And there's like a big recycling theme with the event this year. Like the mattresses that they use are going to be turned into like recyclable plastics, and the cardboard beds are going to be broken down and recycled and all that. But yeah, apparently Trayvon was a little worried because one of the pictures shown was like this tiny bed, and I guess everybody freaked out thinking that, oh no, now we're going to have bedding issues at the Olympics after all this other stuff that we're dealing with. But the Japanese, I guess, representative said that the cardboard beds that they've made are actually stronger than a regular mattress somehow, that they will be recyclable, and they can measure up to 6 feet 11 inches. So that won't be a problem either. But I just thought that was like
most people.
For most people,
there's still a bunch of basketball players that are going to be like their feet hanging
cardboard 6 foot 11 beds. Yeah.
Although, I mean, what was it a couple years ago? What did the last Olympics, didn't the American team stay on yachts?
They might have.
One baseball note, I mentioned the draft earlier. Andy Thomas, Craig mentioned that in the fifth round in the young man from McLennan Community College, went in the 6th or 7th round. Kumar Rocker, who went 10th overall, is going to get a signing bonus of $6 million, which is substantially higher than what the slot would be. The value would be normally under $5 million. He dropped. And to number 10, a lot of people talked about he was a steal. He's going to get a signing bonus. We'll sign with the Mets for a $6 million. That's just the signing bonus.
I guess they were a little worried about his velocity. It fluctuated a little this year, but I don't know. To me, I think that might be nitpicking on the part. The Mets just got a really good player.
He did get hammered in the last appearance in the College World Series. He got beat up pretty good.
I don't know enough about like all his attributes to pretend to know like why he might have slipped, if he even slipped. I don't even know if you consider being picked top 10 that much of a slip really, or slight even. But I do know he threw a lot. I mean, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But I was happy the Rangers got lighter. I was going to be satisfied with him or Rocker or, a couple of other options, but I really liked that they got lighter. And Rocker should be big for the Mets. That's a good place for him. New York City, he'll be a star right away, although he's got, a couple years before he actually makes it to the big leagues likely. But still, seems like it ended up being a good spot in the long run.
All right, when we come back, the 4 o'clock hour includes U.S. Olympian and 3-time, I think, gold medalist Jeremy Warner, followed by a young lady that signed, Kendra Gillespie, who signed or committed to Baylor women's basketball late Friday afternoon out of Harding Prep in Oklahoma. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors that Baylor trusts, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
And as they come off the turn, it is now Warner pouring it on. He's in a battle with Harris. It looks like an American sweep with Brew in third place, but it's going to be the USA 1-2-3, 44-01. So Warner just misses out in going sub 44 as his coach has done so many times. But it's the U.S. 1-2-3 with Jeremy Warner claiming the gold medal.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, you heard a highlight that has to be as I can't even imagine you're representing the United States, your country, whatever country it is, and then you also bring home the gold. Jeremy Warner, former Baylor All-American, joins us, and three-time gold medalist, U.S. Olympic gold medalist on SicEm365 Radio. Is that it for you right there, Jeremy? That is it the first gold, or is it any kind of gold but the one with the Olympic Games?
You know, personally for me, it was that goal to do it at such a young age, and after the season I had that year, winning the gold medal in the Olympics is by far the greatest achievement that I've had.
That one was particularly 1-2-3 USA. What did that feel like to know that you guys were just dominating an event?
You know, at that time, I had a feeling it was going to be us three. The order I didn't know, but you know, as strong as the 400 was back then in the States, I think anybody that made the final that year had a chance to medal that year at the game. So we were so stacked for so many years, and it just showed.
Jeremy, what was your first Olympic memory, and when did the Olympic dream start to kind of flicker in your brain?
You know, when I first watched Michael in '96, but I think more reality-wise, or more focused on there could be a chance that maybe one day I would do that. It was probably my senior year in high school, going into before I got to Baylor. That year I ran 45.5 in high school, and I knew that I would be able to run faster as I got older and more mature. But just the training that Coach Hart gave me and Coach Ford helped me with, it just all came along. And then at the beginning of the year, I knew there would be a chance that I could possibly make the team. I didn't think I would actually make it and then actually win the medal, but have an opportunity to make the finals at the trials and have a chance to go. I had a feeling after indoor meeting that was going to never be an opportunity there.
We just had a couple of comments from Trayvon Bromell, who's back at an elite level and, of course, qualified in the 100 meters for the United States. And you know his story about overcoming injuries. There's always something in the background. There's always the grind to get there. Can you explain sometimes really how hard that is? When you have it, you lose it, and you want to get it back?
It's tough. I had it early in my career, and I started getting injured, and I could never figure out how to come back from those injuries and perform back to how I was early in my career. Trayvon has done an amazing job to figure that out and get back on track. And to me, I think he's running better now than he ever had. And personally, my money is on him. I think he's the man to beat. And I hope for him that he's able to go out there and perform the way he did in the Olympic trials and go out with a victory.
How do you deal with the pressure of, every athlete has to deal with, overcoming injuries and things like that, but particularly when you are a sprinter and fractions of a second mean the difference between winning a medal and not winning a medal at all. When if you're an offensive lineman and you're a little hurt, you can find a way to kind of work around it. Baseball players can work around it. Basketball players can kind of work around it, even though they're may not be as effective. But you're talking about split seconds here. How hard is it to deal with that pressure and cope?
It's extremely hard, especially in the 100 meters. For Trayvon, he's got 9.7 seconds to execute the perfect race, and one little slip up anywhere to cost, whether it's start, whether it's a tight hamstring, bad drive phase, get too early, whatever, false step, whatever it may be, it can cost him. And mentally, you have to prepare yourself to make sure that for any situation that you're going to be ready for it. And then physically, obviously, is a big thing. You got to make sure that you're at the top of your game. Everything is.
Jeremy, with a couple weeks to go, what was kind of your mindset? Okay,
well, we lost him for a second.
Yep.
Try to see if we can get him back. Jeremy Warner, when he won 3 gold medals in 2004, won the 400 meters, and also was on the 4x400 meter relay team that won gold. And then 4 years later in Beijing, was on the 4x400 meter, and then won the silver in the 2008 Beijing Games. Jeremy Warner rejoins us again on SicEm365 Radio. Craig?
Yeah, Jeremy, I was just wondering, when you're a couple of weeks out from, traveling and getting to the games itself, what's the anticipation, nervousness, excitement level? What's like the emotional roller coaster at this point when you're seeing it right in front of you?
Every game for me was different. My first one, I went in and we traveled to. I'm trying to remember. I think where we traveled to first. I forgot where we were, but we all traveled somewhere. We met there, and we all flew over the whole team, just traveling over together. So we really weren't thinking about what was ahead of us. We were just enjoying the moment at the time. We finally get to the village and explore everything, and it's the first time in the village, and you see all the athletes from all the other nations and other sports, and it's just a whole lot to soak in. But my second time going over, I knew what to expect, and mentally I was more worried about my race instead of what was going on at the time. So I had a little bit more nervousness going on going into Beijing than I did in Athens. And but on top of that, I also had the stuff between me and Coach Hart, which was heavy on my and that was going through my head, and a lot of questions being asked about that. So, both experiences for me were different. I think Athens was a little more relaxed for me, and obviously I ran a lot better there.
What's it like to be on the podium and hearing the national anthem?
It's great. I mean, just especially my first time being up there with my three teammates and getting to experience that in a whole other country, hearing the flag go up and hearing the national anthem. It kind of hits you for a second, and all the hard work that you have put in over the years, and the dedication that you have done, the sacrifices you have made, all come together at the right time. And, it's a proud moment.
Obviously, you're not training for the Olympics anymore. You're on to the next phase of your life. But if you had to run the 400 right now, what would your time be?
At this very moment, I know I can break 60 seconds. Breaking 50 right now would be kind of tough for me. But when I say I retired back in 2017, I retired. I didn't do a thing for 3 years. I just now started trying to get back into shape. Just because I was lazy and didn't want to do anything. So I know I can break 60. I know I can do that, but breaking 50 would be difficult.
You know, do you, as a guy that's been at the very top of your game at what you did, do you, when you stop running and then you eventually just stop competing, do you miss the roar of the crowd?
Yeah, definitely. Every time I get a chance to watch a meet on TV or in person, I miss that competition. I miss the adrenaline going through my system. And, it's like at times when I sit there watching the Olympic trials, I miss it. And I don't miss it enough to where I want to go back and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do miss it enough to where, I want to be around the sport more. I want to continue doing what I'm doing right now, which is coaching. And just being able to help the kids that I'm coaching at the moment and get them to the next level, which is the college level. And, maybe one day move into the college level if that ever gives me if someone ever gives me an opportunity. And then from there, just following the footsteps of Coach Ford and Coach Hart and Coach Hartman.
Is it hard to teach when you were at someone who's at as high as level as you could be in the 400s? Is it easy or hard to try to teach young people to run the sport you loved?
It's hard to get them to understand the technique and the race execution, because they just want to run, and that's the easiest part, is getting them to run, getting them to workouts and letting them understand that I'm not giving you these type of workouts just to kill you so you die at practice. It's more to prepare you for the meets and prepare you for later in the season when you're going to be running rounds, or you're going to be at a major championship like state or regionals, and you have to be prepared to 100% and be ready to go. So that part's the easiest part. Is just getting them to understand the race technique for each race. Is the difficult part.
Jeremy, another Baylor guy that'll be headed to London as an alternate, and he's a Waco native. First Waco native to ever make the Olympics is Will London, an alternate on that 400 relay. What would be your advice to him as he prepares for his first Olympic Games and knows that his number could be called, but it might not be called at the same time?
The thing with Will is he's been there before in 2016. He's been there at World Championships. National championships, so he knows that he just has to, when his number is called, and he just has to run his race and worry about his race only. Not let the excitement get to him, and just stay relaxed and stay grounded and run how he's been running all year. He's heading in the right direction right now, watching his open races, but obviously he's going for a relay, and I know Will, when you put a stick in Will's hand, he's going to run. He's going to run well.
Do you speak to him or others, the guys that come along after you? How much do you get involved in talking to the guys that are now the newest generation of runners?
With Will, I've stayed in contact with him. Whenever I went down and watched him run at the Michael Johnson earlier this year and talked to him, I sent him a message on Twitter during the Olympic trials, and then this past weekend when he ran out in Atlanta, just kind of giving my advice on his race execution for that day and what I see that he can improve on, which doesn't surprise me. It's the same thing that Coach Hart is telling him. So, I try and keep up with all the Baylor athletes, whether they're professional or not. And if they ever ask me a question or anything, I'm always there to give them my advice and my 2 cents. And, they just have to trust their coaches right now, and because their coaches know what they're doing.
You know this. Coach Hart, of course, retired and has still been very much a part of the program. But Todd Harbour recently announced his retirement like about a week or two ago. And another guy that had been a part of Baylor as a former runner on the team and then head coach as well. Have you noticed the transition in the track and field program?
Yeah, when I was at Baylor, we were known for a quarter mile of you, obviously, and as the years have gone on, we have developed more into a full sprint team. Coach Ford has done an amazing job developing his sprinters in the 100s, the hurdles, and the 200s and 4x1s. And Coach Harper has done an amazing job with the distance program with Alita and the 800. And so it's just, it seems like we're going into a full team instead of certain events, and the change in the atmosphere has been great, and I'm looking forward to seeing who they hire as the next head coach and seeing what the program does after that.
Jeremy, if you're sitting down to watch something on television, what sport is the one that gets your attention now?
It's hard to say. I'm excited to watch all sports, honestly. I was watching the Euro Cup that just ended yesterday. Went to the Ranger game just the other day with my family. Obviously, when football season starts, I'm watching that. I was watching Wimbledon. I'm obviously preparing to watch the Olympics every day. Not just track and field, but I love watching all the Olympic sports that are out there. And supporting Team USA and all the people that I know personally that are going to be going. So I'm really all around. It's just not one sport that excites.
I know we have to go, and you do too. But we had you on. I believe it was the Friday before Baylor was in the Final Four up in Indianapolis. I believe we had you on that week before. Then they won it. What was that like for you to have the national championship at Baylor?
Oh, that was great. It gave me the same feeling that back in 2004, 2005 when Coach Mulkey and the women's team won their first national championship. Being able to see what Coach Drew has done from his first time at Baylor all the way until now, it's been an amazing journey, and I know that they were excited and they're looking forward to continuing that next year and trying to go back-to-back, which is it's going to be difficult, but I've seen who they signed and I see who's coming back, and I think that's possible. So I'm excited. The whole Baylor sports program has come around, and we're not just one sport or two sports. We're now starting to be the whole university sports programs are coming up and being dominant.
I just looked it up, and we had them on the day of the national championship.
No, the day of the
game.
national,
Yeah.
the Monday of the day of the national championship game. We didn't know what was going to happen.
I thought it was right before.
Yeah, it was great to have you on that day to give a different perspective from various sports and athletes. Thanks for your time. Enjoy it. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it. That's three-time Olympic gold medalist. Won a silver in the 400 at Beijing, and then five-time world champion. Baylor alum, also now as a track coach at the high school level.
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, he was. I remember first seeing him like, who is this cat? Like when he first appeared with the sunglasses and all that, and he went and did his thing along with Michael Johnson and tons of others. But Jeremy Warner was a star, and obviously still very well known in track in Baylor circles, and cool to talk to him, especially ahead of the Olympics, and cool to hear him, give some thoughts on Trayvon Bromell and also Will London as well.
All right, we're going to hear from Kendra Gillespie in just a second. She committed to play for Nikki Collin and the women's basketball program at Baylor from Harding Prep High School in Oklahoma. We'll have her momentarily. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, with the name, image, likeness thing going on, there are some side effects, not bad or anything like that, but some side things that guys can now do that they weren't maybe able to do previously. And one of the things that you may be seeing pop up, or at least in the case of this Baylor player, has popped up. I don't know if his sister maybe that had posted this yesterday. I can't quite remember. But Treston Ebner's hosting his first annual youth football camp in his hometown of Henderson. It's going to be at the Henderson High School practice field Saturday, July 31st. It is going to be free of charge, but there will be a camp T-shirt available for purchase. There will be special guests, NCAA and high school athletes assisting as coaches and helping out with Ebner. And there's information. You can find it. I'm sure he's probably retweeted it, but I'll pass along information if you can't find it and you are interested. But, yeah, Saturday, July 31st, 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Henderson High School practice fields. Treston Ebner and special guests hosting first annual youth football camp.
All right, good for him. And Treston and Henderson, of course, they've had a coaching change there. Phil Castles was there for quite some time, and now a coaching change is there, and so he'll do that. And that is something that that's how I used to be able to get in touch with players when they left and then came back. They'd come back for summer. Like, that's where you had a chance to get the players when they got away from college and an opportunity to speak with them a little bit as well. Let's take a break right here, and Kendra Gillespie will momentarily. What? Okay, let's come back and come back with Kendra Gillespie, the newest commit to Nikki Collin at Baylor from Harding Prep in Oklahoma. This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Ram Spotlight Days continue. Three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, back to back to back. The Ram trucks are the top safety pick for trucks named in 2021. You can come check them out at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. And don't forget, Jeep Freedom Days continue. The most decorated SUVs available. Any challenging off-road, you want a Jeep, they have one available right now at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat east of 84 on Loop 340 in Waco. We're now joined by Kendra Gillespie of Harding Prep in Oklahoma, the latest commitment to Nikki Collin and the Baylor Lady Bears basketball program. And Kendra joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Kendra, thank you very much for your time. So this is something where you've kind of had to wait and watch, and it's late in the summer. What was the timeline with Baylor? Obviously, Nikki Collin, Tony Green, and Tari Cummins and company. Can you kind of help us get to where you got to Baylor?
Yes. Well, I was in between. Well, I really wanted to make my decision within like a week after getting released from Marquette because I wanted to get on campus soon for workouts, and I was in between OU, Texas Tech, and Baylor. And really, it was kind of hard trying to, build a short relationship within time. But I just seen Coach Nikki's style of play and where I fit in, and it was just the best opportunity for me.
What best matches up with her style of play and your style of play?
Really a fast style of play, and just as how she coached in the WNBA, I really loved how she managed her team.
So, Kendra, when was the first time you heard from Coach Collin?
The first time was probably a day after I was released from Marquette because I wasn't able to talk to any coaches until I was released.
Yeah, and you had committed to them, and I think Coach Duffy. There's the connection to Coach Green as well with Tony Green, and he joined the Baylor staff. How much of an impact did that have on you?
It had somewhat of an impact because Coach Green, he has been in contact with me since he's been recruiting me from different schools. Every school he's been at since I was in like the 6th grade. So it was really kind of a trusting, but I really liked Coach Duffy at Marquette, but Baylor had a better opportunity for me because it was closer to home within everything that happened within the last year.
What was your experience playing for your mother at Harding Prep?
It was good. I get that question asked a lot. Actually, it's very. I think it's better for me because she knows what I can do, so she put me in the best situation. And I also play with her in the summer, so that was my first time playing with her.
Is it more difficult to be a coach's daughter You hear about that sometimes with various sports. Can she be a little bit more difficult with you and maybe push you even harder?
Yeah, I feel like with coaches' kids, they push you even harder because of what they know what you can do than other athletes.
Kendra Gillespie.
But it was a bit harder, but it wasn't as hard. It's not super. It's not hard.
Yeah. I would think it's comfortable knowing that she knows. You said she knows you, and you mentioned what has gone on in the last year. And I obviously on your Twitter timeline, you lost your father a year ago in May. Can you kind of describe what role he had, obviously, in your life and missing him the way you do?
Oh, yeah, I lost my father last May on Mother's Day, and it was pretty tough for me. And we had a best friend relationship, and so he wasn't the type of dad that so we had a best friend relationship. He wasn't the type of dad who was at the games just like on me because I had my mom and my stepdad who was going to do that. He was just like the motivator for me. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty hard this year, and it still is. You know, some days are harder than others, but just pushing through.
So tell me about your love of watching Grey's Anatomy.
I actually got into Grey's Anatomy when COVID was like really, when everybody had to quarantine, we couldn't really leave the house. And I watched the whole 17 seasons, which is pretty funny to me because everybody was like, I don't see how you can watch that many shows. It consists of the same thing. And I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting to me. So that was a funny thing to me.
I think the great thing is that, like, you know, you could have gotten a TV show that only had like 3 seasons, but with Grey, it's just like it just never ends. You just get more and more and more and more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like, because I'm a Law and Order fan as well, and I've watched all those episodes, so I could continue to watch those if I see it on TV. And everybody's like, what is up with you in these long seasons? Like, it's just a consistency, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so who's your favorite? Because Law and Order, you know, they changed, you know, teams and all that. You know, new people come and go. Do you have a favorite team of Law and Order or cast of Law and Order?
I'll have to say the first cast with like Elliot and Olivia. I watched SVU, so I watched Law and Order SVU. So it was like Olivia and Elliot and all of them. The newbies, they were okay, but I like the old style better.
So you, I saw some video. I don't know who it was, but somebody did post some video of you, and you were going against somebody else who's very highly ranked and up and down the court, scoring a lot. But it seemed like to me that, Kendra, you have the ability to play outside, but also physical enough to go inside. How would you describe your game?
I would describe it versatility. So as a kid, I was always taller than everybody, so I was always stuck in the paint. But as I got to high school, like my freshman year, I really didn't grow too much, so I started working on ball handling and my shot more, and then that's when the versatility came in play.
Yeah, because we saw you hit some shots outside, saw you go inside, go up even under traffic to go up against, lay one up and not worry about that. So Baylor's got, right now, I guess with you being added now to the roster, there was 8 players that were practicing right now. They had some attrition with the coaching change. How much has been said to you about what you have an opportunity in front of you? Because there is going to be a need, and I'm sure you're there to go to Baylor, not just to sit and watch, but to be a part of it as well.
Yes. So, like you said, it's 9 of us now, and I haven't really met with the girls or any of that, but basically, my goal is to come in and earn some minutes and learn from Melissa and Queen and just pursue from there.
You mentioned you wanted to be able to get on some campuses. Did you get a chance to visit Baylor?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
They were actually my first visit.
Okay, what was that experience like?
It was actually a good visit, especially since I wasn't able to take any official visits being with COVID last year. I wasn't able to take officials. So I was able to take 3 officials this year, which was Baylor and OU. And with the short notice that I had, Baylor actually was a great visit for me.
Now, you hear about when players have visited Baylor, not just with those who they're going to play with as possibility on a team, but just the atmosphere itself, and that it's really very down to earth, and it's more like a family. Doesn't mean they don't have that at other campuses as well. Did you kind of feel that same thing yourself?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you?
It kind of went in and out.
Yeah, you hear a lot of players who come to Baylor, and sure, they're going to say this because they're at Baylor, but you feel like it's kind of a part of a family. It's not just an athletic department or a basketball team or whatever, that you feel the full meal deal when you're there at Baylor. Did you feel that same kind of experience? And if yes, kind of describe that if you don't mind.
Yeah, it was very family-oriented when I took the visit. The players could see the bond there, and the coaches, especially being that they were all new coaches, I could see that the players really enjoyed Coach Nikki and her staff. And even outside of the basketball atmosphere, the fans, they were cool. When I was going to my hotel and they noticed that I was on the visit, they were really nice about everything, very family-oriented.
And you've had to overcome a couple of things physically, but not really bad. You had a bone contusion to your knee, your shoulder strain when you were younger. You were able to get through all of that. Your toughness level, and where did you learn that from?
I had to develop a different mindset when I hurt my knee last year, because it was like a partial tear in my posterolateral corner. And that's where the bone contusion came from. And I was out basically my whole junior season. And so it was really a mindset thing, especially with injuries in athletes. You just have to develop a great mentality, because those type of things can break you.
Yep, no question. I saw where you played for the Lions Elite in OKC in Oklahoma City, and that was Jason and the Jason Terry Lady Jets. Is that Jason the Jet Terry that played for the Mavericks for a long time? Have you met him?
Yes, he was actually my coach.
Oh, okay. What was that experience like?
It was a good experience. It was different for me because like I said, I've been playing with my mom pretty much my entire life. So it was different for me, but I really enjoyed playing for someone else. And especially Coach Jet, he was a good guy and a good coach.
So
he was also funny.
He seems to be a character, man. His personality seems to be special. So you have about a week between now and arriving on campus?
Yes, sir.
All right. Enjoy all that, whatever time you have between now and then, and enjoy it. Soak it up. It's great. It's fantastic you were able to get through the COVID part and find something to watch in Grey's Anatomy, but also overcome other things as well. We're thinking about you, Kendra. Thanks for your time, and congratulations on your commitment and to play for Baylor.
No, thank you.
Thank you. That's Kendra Gillespie of Harding Prep, also Jason the Jet Terry's team. And I reached out to him and see if we could maybe get him on to talk about Kendra, but also about what's going on with the NBA and Mavericks, etc. The Lady Bears, by the way, got this from Kyle Robarch. Thanks to Kyle for the setting everything up. Back to school supply drive for South Waco Elementary going on Fridays, July 12th. Tuesdays and Fridays, drop off supplies at the Farrell Center Tuesdays and Fridays between now and August the 4th. Baylor Lady Bears back to school supply drive for South Waco Elementary.
Yeah, and I know a couple teachers, and many of them pay for school supplies out of pocket. They don't get anything from the school.
It's absolutely shameful that we do.
I mean, the way the teachers are treated is ridiculous.
What if you made your doctor buy his own scalpels?
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's what it is. And so, if you can go and help, and I mean, really anything helps. I mean, some crayons, some markers, some colored pencils. I mean, you can buy a lot for not that much if you have the ability to do so. So definitely a good cause there, and no reason why our kids shouldn't have school supplies. I mean, that should be the bare minimum that we have for them, right? So good to have kids back in classes. I mean, that's a good thing after the last year. And let's make sure now that they're back in those classes, they've got the tools to do what they can do. And, definitely contribute if you can. Thank
you to Kendra Gillespie of Harding Prep, and now the latest addition to Nikki Collin women's basketball program at Baylor. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, this 4 o'clock hour, Phil Bennett at 5. So the home run derby, Joey Gallo, the number 2 seed. He'll face Trevor Story, who's a local kid out of Dallas and Fort Worth.
How do we feel about the tournament aspect of this now that they've been doing it for a little while?
I think it moves a little bit better as far as television goes.
Okay.
I do miss the old, here's what I wish. Who hits the most home runs?
Yeah, I mean
like that's
really. I don't like this whole like you could hit 29 bombs in round 1, but that doesn't count towards your actual total to win the thing. So you could hit less home runs total, but just have hit more home runs in the later round and you win. And I don't understand that at all.
I mean, Josh Hamilton didn't win the home run derby in the most unbelievably impressive home run derby output I've maybe ever seen.
Yeah. So I've just found that kind of odd, but please, by all means, go over the matchups.
I don't understand what they're doing now either. It's gotten to the point where it used to just be whoever hit the most, and then, of course, guys got worn out, and then some guys started not going back because it was such a grind. So number 1 seed is Shohei Ohtani.
Did you see him in Ichiro's little I think I saw some pictures of him and Ichiro, and Ohtani is like running to go meet Ichiro, and he gets over there and he's got his hand extended, he's got his hand in his other, or he's got his hat in his other hand out of respect, and he bows like the Japanese people do. So yeah, he just went full respect for Ichiro. Just, looked like he was just the kid in the candy store seeing Ichiro.
I think for that generation of ball player over there, like Ichiro,
that's Babe Ruth.
Mr. Babe Ruth.
Yeah, for sure.
Meaning like Ichiro and Matsui and like Hideo Nomo and Daisuke Matsuzaka would be
Rabu.
He's past Hideki Rabu actually. But meeting those 4 guys, I think for Japanese players who grew up in that era that are playing in Major League Baseball now would be akin to meeting like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax all at once.
Number 8 seed Juan Soto. He was added at the very end. I think he was the 7th one to commit. Then Gallo, the 8th to commit. Gallo's the number 2 seed against Trevor Story.
I'll tell you, that scares if you're picking Ohtani to win this thing. The fact that he has to go up against Juan Soto in the first round, is pretty darn scary.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we can talk about Shohei Ohtani without pulling a Stephen A. Because
we'll get to that.
Some pretty stupid stuff, but yeah, that's a pretty tough draw for the number 1 seed, getting Juan Soto there if you're Ohtani.
And it's not just how many home runs you have this year; it's putting on a show, just pure raw power, batting cage power as well. Matt Olson, number 3 seed against Trey Mancini, who's the great story. Mancini's with Baltimore, the 3 and 6 seed. And then Salvador Perez of Kansas City. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Pete Alonso, who may have won this before.
He won it in 2019.
The last from the Mets. They played it, Okay. So those are the 8. And
Trey Mancini is the great story in that he's come back from cancer and is playing and having a really good year for Baltimore. The only good thing that happens in Baltimore baseball apparently is Trey Mancini right now. But he's going to be talked about a lot. So it should be pretty interesting. Nice little. I'm glad that they've got some guys that are legit recognizable names. Sometimes it looked like for a couple of years that some of the guys were just not going to do it. Ohtani, this might be the only time we get to see him do it.
Well, okay, Ohtani's name power, Soto's name power, Gallo is power.
Mm-hmm.
Mancini's a great story.
Pete Alonso's a defending champion.
Alonso's a defending champion since they didn't have it last year.
And Trevor Story is the biggest impending free agent
coming up, and the Rangers would love to add him to the mix.
But to your point, it's not Vlad Jr. and and Ohtani and Acuna if he wasn't hurt. It's not like the top, but it's an okay field. Having Ohtani is making it way better than it probably would be otherwise.
I'd like to see the 2 juniors in this thing. Tatis and Vlad, but
get Vlad, Tatis. Let's put Gallo in there because he can hit bombs. Let's put Ohtani. Let's get all those cats in there.
So what are the rules?
It's I don't know.
It's head to head.
Yeah, and then you advance, and then it's head to head again, basically.
Yeah. So it's a bracket.
Yeah, it's like a tournament.
Tournament. I just don't know how many pitches you get, 3 outs, whatever, all that, and you could have 38 home runs in the first round, but then lose in the semifinals 14-8, something like that. Okay, all right, and I got to tell you, this used to be obviously had to go home and watch it, and now I'll have to maybe accidentally turn it on, and it's on. Not disrespect for it. It's not front and center for me. But I will be interested. Maybe I'll just see it on social media and realize it's going on.
I watch it every year. I love it.
Yeah, you used to go to the bar.
Yes,
and
that is the one thing I will very much miss.
The Chris Berman back.
The home run derby drinking game.
Yeah. So you're not doing that this year.
If I did, it would be just me doing it. I mean, I guess we could all do it via text, but everybody's in different cities now. So.
I mean, yeah, you should have Seattle and Milwaukee
we
and all
just
that.
all get on a Zoom call.
And one guy keeps saying, hey, drink, and he doesn't,
Yeah.
Well, all right, so that's going on. That's going on tonight.
Unless Jack's down. I mean, I don't know.
Jack's like, what? He's
here
deep into his phone.
I'll just tell you, if you want to do this, here's the rule. Every time your guy hits a home run, you take a drink. And then when your guy is eliminated, you do an Irish car bomb.
So wait a minute. If one year Guerrero had 40 home runs in one round. If you had Guerrero, you got to take 40.
You won.
Yeah.
Or it's every time somebody hits, I don't know, but you won. It's very, and then my friend Sheik came up with all these other rules. Like every time Berman, picked the city, say it was in Dallas, he's like, they hit that one to Fort Worth. Like any time that he did that, that was the thing. There are all these little deals that they had. So all the rules in there. So it's basically, here are the rules of it. Just drink your beer. And then when your guy is out, you have to do an Irish car bomb.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's the easiest way, but there's fun ways to do it. It was fun.
Now, Stephen A. Smith, I don't even want to go there.
No, unless you want to.
Yeah,
I mean, he says some stupid stuff.
He was concerned about Ohtani being like basically the face of baseball. Is that right?
He basically said that, the problem with Ohtani being the face of baseball is that he needs a translator to be able to understand and speak English. And many people found that to be, and I don't know what all he's, I don't watch the program. I saw the excerpt, but that was basically the message that he was saying was that, hey, he's great, but, the whole he doesn't speak English thing, and that's where people, I guess, got flustered a bit.
And Stephen A. Smith has been kind of immune to ESPN's because he is their
cancel
highest paid
culture?
employee. Yeah, he's been immune to it, or whatever you want to call it. He's been immune to that a little bit. I wonder how this will play out. I do think it's kind of an interesting take for him to have, considering it's not the first time that we've had a Japanese superstar.
No,
I don't know if Hideo Nomo or Ichiro or Hideki Matsui were ever the face of baseball. They weren't as popular or maybe is all around amazing because Shohei Ohtani isn't a unicorn. I mean, he pitches and he hits and he's great at both of them, but nobody's done that in the modern era of baseball. But even still, the face of baseball many times has been a player from a foreign country who's at least not great at speaking English.
He said, here were his exact comments. The fact that you got a foreign player that doesn't speak English, believe it or not, I think contributes to harming the game to some degree when that's your box office appeal. It needs to be somebody like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, those guys. And unfortunately, at this point in time, that's not the case. When you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, I don't think it helps. The number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying in this country. And that's what I'm trying to say. For some reason, he brought up Manu and Dirk, and he said for some reason in MLB, you got these guys who need those interpreters, and I think that compromises the ability for them to ingratiate themselves with the American public, which is what we're really talking about. And he went on to, I guess Kellerman and him got into it, and he said it's not about Ohtani's not from here. That's the issue. He's got to learn English, and they just went on.
All right, well, he's only been around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Juan Gonzalez took a lot of heat. First of all, he was beloved because he won 2 MVPs, and that was back the first time the Rangers were ever good in the late 90s. Pudge Rodriguez. Rodriguez went out of his way to find a way to learn how to speak more fluent English. Or not fluent, but more English better. Where Juan just never quite really cared about that. That doesn't make him a bad person. And so then that made it also sound like he was somewhat aloof or distant. For year after year after year after year in Port Charlotte, Florida, sat down on the second level walkway for some reason and had opportunities to speak with both of them, Pudge and Juan Gonzalez, every training camp. I never had a problem with him. Now, it wasn't great. It was sometimes broken, but I never thought of him. Now, I know he became kind of the what do you want to call it? Grumpy, malcontent, whatever. Wanted to get. I always enjoyed it. Now, Ohtani's been here for a year, too, maybe?
Yeah, but see, the thing
There's a quote from Ichiro about why he used an interpreter, and it's a pretty good reason. I'll read this in just a second.
Well, part of it, look, you don't know that Ohtani's not trying to learn English.
That's exactly right.
And look,
Molly on the show, when they were like exiting, apparently she was like, yeah, but those homers talk a lot for him. And, what were you just saying? What were you just saying?
You don't know if he's not trying
to learn.
Yeah. And then she also said, obviously we don't know he's not trying to learn English. So she was trying to cover the bases there. Darvish
speaks through an interpreter quite a bit, and he speaks pretty fluent English. I mean, I know that for a fact. I mean, I've heard him. I was in the clubhouse one time when he was speaking English. He just doesn't speak it at the time, he didn't speak it very well.
Here's a quote from Ichiro to John Hickey of the Sports Press in the Sports Press Northwest, which I would think is probably up in Seattle. We have to connect to our fans through the media. And when you talk about that, it's got to come from your heart. And when it comes from your heart, it has to absolutely be consistent. There's a big risk you take without an interpreter, because as we professional baseball players, we are here to perform baseball, not to learn a language.
Well, and also there's
some guys that speak English and you need an interpreter.
Well, there's figures of speech that even if you learn English, you're not going to understand, the sarcasm elements or that's just a figure of speech that means not literally what it's, and so there's those little things as well. Learning a language, especially the English language, like with all the slang and like just the different way we, use words. Like, I mean, it's hard to learn English. I mean, there's just so many differences, but I don't think Stephen A was being, just to put a cap on that, I don't think he was being like outright racist or anything. I understand ultimately the point he was trying to make. I think he just delivered it really poorly. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's how I took it.
All right. One of the other things about it is I lived in Japan 4 years. I learned enough Japanese or their language to communicate to store owners or places where I went. And I had to learn a little bit enough, in fact, if I got lost or I was in trouble off the base. And so there's kind of a responsibility there. But for me to try to learn Japanese if I was playing, it would not be in a year. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Phil Bennett will join us at 5 today. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now at the summer savings event over at Richard Carr. Travel is back, and they want to put you in a nice vehicle. Right now, you can get back on the road with space, safety, and luxury in a Buick. Qualified buyers get 0% financing for 72 months on most 2021 Buick SUVs. Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks, all of them priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced to get you back on the road this summer. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot, and with dozens of lenders, they say yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership. Give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
When we come back, North Texas defensive coordinator Phil Bennett will join us. I was watching the other day, we were here in the studio watching that 61-58 Classic. And there was a part of that at the end where I saw Phil Bennett, and I'm going to ask him what he was saying. And I hope we can put it on the radio. But we'll ask him that, plus also North Texas, name him his likeness, and much, much more here in the next segment. Don't forget, Wednesday night, following our coverage at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Big 12 Media Days. It is Three Nations Brewing off East Vandergrift off 35 in Carrollton. We'll be there for a meet and greet. And they have every Friday new beer promotions, fresh beer from their small batch system, and live music every Saturday night. This is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. I got a text the other day, or in fact yesterday, from Brian Bauer. He just had himself a little chance to get away on the beach and get away from business. He has been grinding it, no question about it. Can you imagine all of the business they did for 4th of July weekend, or even now with reunions and picnics and family get-togethers and whatever else? Plus, of course, coming off the 4th of July weekend a week ago. Well, Waco Custom Marketplace is where you can get customized cut steaks, seafood, pork, and poultry. If you want a ribeye that's thick, you can get that bone-in or not, or you can get a bacon wrap filet that's 1.5 inches thick or larger or wider or bigger, or, of course, it's delicious, whatever it might be. And if you want to get whatever you will, say you want to just get some bacon, cut the way you want it, a certain flavor, they can do that. Or sausage, they have numerous options of sausage. And, of course, chicken, whole chickens, to certain chickens that cut up by themselves, whether you want the thigh, the breast, or wings as well. Waco Custom Marketplace, tri-tip, and if you want prime rib, plus the bakery every day, fresh baked bread and kolaches at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, anytime we need to get me a little bit of a pick-me-up, we have a lot of different guests, but there's only one segment when it comes to Phil Bennett, University of North Texas defensive coordinator, that can take this to a different level. Coach, what have you been doing? How you been, man?
Oh, you know, I'm right now I'm still on vacation and sort of anxious to get going.
Well, okay, I know. And so do you feel like you had enough time to where you think you can make an impact on that football program?
You know, I think we can be vastly improved. I do. I think that it's similar to the situation that I inherited at Baylor. I mean, we have some kids that are better players than they've shown. And I've told you this before, Smoak. Coaching matters. What you do, you know, playing with that up-speed offense, I think I can help them. I know I can. You know, getting lined up, you know, getting off the field. I thought we made really good improvement. We've got 8 new players, guys. We sort of worked the protocol of finding new guys in the portal, and I think we've helped ourselves.
Phil, do you feel like you were kind of in on, like, if you were a scientist trying to do medical research on how to stop, the spread offense or whatever, you would kind of start where you did, right? With someone like Art Briles and what you guys were doing. Are you kind of one of the people in the ground floor and trying to figure out how to coach a defense in the modern era of this spread offense and the speed that they run with?
Well, we were ahead of the game. We've been doing that for 7 years. I tell all these SEC guys, I played golf with a guy in the SEC the other day, and I told him, I said, you guys are just now getting what, how many times did we all hear that, well, Big 12 defenses are terrible. They don't play any defense. They don't play it. And then go watch the Alabama Ole Miss game, and tell me about defense. I mean, it's sort of caught on. It's no longer a power offense. I mean, of all people, the guy probably that's done it better than anybody, Nick Saban has agreed on it. The game has changed, and we were ahead of the curve, and I worked for the guy that was way ahead of the curve. And, part of the reason that he always thought I could coach is when I was at SMU, we always did a good job against U of H. He used to tell me, he said, Bennett, how can y'all compete with us when we have better players and what we're doing? And, you have to be able, and I've said this many times, we've talked about it. You got to be simple in what you do, but you got to be sound and you've got to be creative.
So, Coach, tell me about this young whippersnapper of a defensive analyst you have by the name of Taylor Young.
He's the best. I tell him, I said, I was telling a story the other day, and he's going to get mad at me for this, but we're sitting in there, and I said, Jim, I think I should tell Taylor the story when we decided he was going to be a guy. I used to always be in charge, still am, of the heights and weights of all the players, what we release. If a guy wants to be, 6 foot and he's a player, then by God, I'm going to make him 6 foot. and I told Taylor, I said, we had realized that you were everything that we thought you were. And I said, they came in there to me, they said that, Taylor Young, 5'8". I said, no. I said, everybody was in the room. I said, 6 foot, 215. And everybody just looked at me. And I said, well, that's probably stretching it. I said, 5'10", 215. Everybody's looking at me. And I laughed, and I said, you know what, Taylor? I said, all the guys in the room want me to put you at 5'8", but I wouldn't do it. I said, so you were a 5'10", will linebacker. He just started stuttering. He told me, he goes, and I came back for this shit?
Oh, my God. Oh. 5'8", 215 pounds and a wrath of hell for offensive coordinators,
I'm going to tell you, he was a water moccasin. There's no doubt. I mean, he was an all – Baylor will go – you know what? He was Terrell Bernard. That's what kind of guy he was.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what he was, just instinctive, played with quickness, had cover skills, intuitive, and loved football. He loved football.
So you stole Taylor Young, and now there's a rumor that says you're stealing someone from the media relations department with the name of Taylor at Baylor. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure it's been announced yet, but I'm hoping that happens. Yeah. I've always said Baylor has good people, and they always have. And you look when you're trying to get better. I know this. I'm going to go back to Taylor Young. Taylor's going to be a big time coach one day, and we're all going to enjoy his product.
Speaking of Taylor being a coach, is part of that because you can't really teach instincts, but you can kind of draw heart out of people, and that's what he was able to kind of tap into himself, and he can very much get that out of young players.
Well, Paul, the thing I used to, everywhere I've ever coached, I always start with them. I tell them, I said, knowledge is power. Knowledge empowers you. And if you study the game and you can you can connect the dots and cross your T's and dot your I's. You play that much faster. Taylor understood that, and that's why he will be a good coach. He sees things that most people don't see. I've worked with guys that are really good guys, but they can't see the things that he sees in the whole picture. And I've been fortunate to be able around people that I've been able to see that with, and he gets it.
Phil Bennett, University of North Texas defensive coordinator, former Baylor defensive coordinator with us. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio.
So, Coach, what have been your early impressions of name, image, likeness, and what that's created? I think we're all still waiting to see what it's really going to look like. It's just so brand new right now. But has that thrown things for a loop for coaches, or is it just another thing?
Let me tell you something. It's just I guess it's the modern day of what we're dealing with. I had to call a special meeting because, I'm not on Twitter. I mean, I have a Twitter handle, but just like at Baylor, someone else handles it in recruiting. But somebody started sending me these guys that they haven't even made the team yet, that are trying to get deals. And, I think so many people are putting the cart ahead of the horse. I'm not against, kids being able to get what they deserve, but I think it takes the focus off what you're trying to do. And I think it's hard enough to build a team as it is. And let's face it, the O-linemen, the center, the guards, the nose guards, those guys, they're not going to get the recognition that the quarterback, receivers, running backs, DBs, linebackers are going to get. So I just think it's another thing that coaches are going to have to deal with. And I think you're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to tell them the truth. Hey, this is what we're about. If we all succeed, then it's good for everybody. But, I've said this for a long time. Kids today, with the cost of attendance, they have it better than it's ever been. I really can't understand why it ever got to this, but it has. And, I just think it's another thing that as coaches, people get on coaches saying they make too much money, they do this. I think they're going to earn their money even more than they had before.
Yeah, and it seems like whenever there's something that looks to be maybe not quite right, we just can't get to a medium or a middle ground. It's like everything goes completely the opposite direction. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No, there's no doubt. No, we could have probably, but it's part of this wokeness we're dealing with, man. I mean, it's not just in politics; it's in athletics. It's everything, and it's when I came years ago, early '70s, when I came to A&M. I thought my world was set because I got a scholarship. My parents were excited. I was, they had not gone to college. It's just evolved. Right now, people think a scholarship is not, nothing to it. Well, you go to Baylor, I'm sure it's probably in the $200,000 range. And I think we've lost sight of the value of what a scholarship and an education will do for a person.
Yeah, Phil, actually, we had Mac Rhodes on the other week, and I asked him, not because I'm like you, I'm all for guys, making what they can off their own name and all of that, but I asked him just between tuition, free gear, meals, hotels, tickets, family travel, camps, it goes on and on and on, and you add it all up, and it's like, geez Louise, there's already quite a bit on the plate right there, but I think you've kind of wrapped everybody's opinion up quite nicely, for sure.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something. I was all for the cost of attendance because I thought that really, because kids can't work in the summer. We want them to be there, and they need. I know when I was at Arizona State, I think we had guys. Their checks were $3,000 or $4,000 a month. I mean, you got families out there that don't make that. You got kids sending money home, and I'm not saying it's not deserved, but I thought the cost of attendance, along with a scholarship, was really a good idea. It was fair, because the kids couldn't work. We've evolved where we keep them year round. And I just think that I think people are going to have to tread very slowly as this thing goes. And I think it's going to be harder for the coaches to keep things in line of building a team. And that's what we're all trying to do. We've got a common goal, and everybody's got to do their part. And that old saying of, you give everything you've got, and we all build this thing together, and we'll enjoy I'm not sure that stands right now.
Yeah, is this also, I know that like there's a school of thought that says, well, this kind of eliminates the $100 handshakes and things that, can bring a whole season down because, boosters can do that. But is it just maybe a new way to worry about the same problem for coaches?
Oh, absolutely. Do you not think there's – listen, I saw a deal of all people. Deion Sanders had a great quote. He said, they're fixing to meet a guy called IRS. And listen, it creates problems for them. They don't understand the taxes. They've never dealt with the taxes on these things. And how many people out there that don't have these players' best interests at heart, trying to underline? There's always someone trying to do it the wrong way, and it's going to make compliance harder. I just think it opens up another avenue that we're going to look back on and say, what were we thinking?
Phil, we were watching the classic 61-58 the other day. It was on YouTube, and we're on the air in studio last week. And it was, as you guys start bringing it back and everything's going well, and I saw where the ball had gotten down inside the 15 or 20, whatever it was, and you were walking to the right shoulder of Chris Callahan, who's on the sideline, knowing what's coming up soon. And I thought I saw you say something to him. Do you remember what you said to him?
Yeah, I do. Chris and I always, I was always one of his, I thought he was a good kicker. And I told him, I said, you're going to win this game for us. And I'll never forget what he said. It was something that said, "You're damn right I am," and that's exactly what and he did.
What he said after the game? He said, "I'm a damn good kicker, and I know it."
Yeah, in the game. Yeah, in the post game, he said that.
Well, I always tell people, always ask me about that game, and I always kid them. I mean, you go back and look at the stats. Somebody said, one time. Gary Patterson said, hey, terrible defense both sides. Well, let me tell you something. We didn't play terrible. Listen, we had, I think we gave up 440 yards. They gave up almost 800. We had 44 first downs. They only had 19. We had like 4 takeaways. They had 2. And when the game was on the line, you might correct me on this, Smoak, but I think we had 4 straight 3-and-outs, or we got the ball where they didn't get more than 1 first down.
Yep.
And when you look at that game, it was an interception for a return, a fumble for 21 points. We weren't even on the field.
Yeah.
And I always laugh, and all the coaches at TCU told me, said that burns him up when he hears you say that, and I just laugh at it.
Have you gotten to hear him sing, Gary?
Yeah. I don't care anything about hearing him sing. Yeah, I've heard him sing, but it wasn't a song. But I've heard him.
You're right. I'm with him on the singing part, and also that was a 4-point game at halftime.
Yeah,
that's all that was. It was a high-scoring 4-point game, and then, like you said, there was just that stretch of the pick six near the
Yeah, and you know what though? He's a great coach.
Oh,
and he's done a great job, and I love jabbing, but they've done a great job. But then that day, it wasn't. Listen, without a question, we were the best defense on the field, without a question.
Yep.
Phil, I asked this question to Baylor fans the other day. This can go back forever, but during your time there, is there one play you wish would have been different? Offense, defense, anything. Is there one play that you wish during your time at Baylor had gone differently? Seth, Bryce Petty inside the 5 trips and falls, the penalty or 2 against Michigan State. Anything in particular that pops out of your mind is, God, if it could have just been one play. We lose him?
No, he's still there. Coach, can you hear us? Let me see.
Yeah.
I thought he was thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you heard my question.
The one play without question is getting timeout called before we're going to kick the field goal to ice the game at Michigan State. Yeah. We had said we were going to call a timeout. We weren't going to kick the ball. And our holder, knowing that, lines up at I don't know if many people know that. He lines up like at 3.5, 4 yards. Not a normal depth. Andrew Furky. And he knew we were going to call a timeout. Well, we were talking about situations, and I'm telling you, we had a ACC crew, and they lined up. I mean, they were pushing us on time to kick the ball. And Furky, I mean, it wasn't his fault. It was our fault as coaches. But we got all wound up, and we kicked the ball, and it got blocked because we were not in the right position. I wish we could have got it. And if you remember, Art was trying like crazy to call a timeout. And that was the flip of the game.
It would have been better just to get a delay of game.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I've never heard that side of the story.
Yeah. And you know what? The other thing, and you can cry, but when Taylor scored that touchdown, we intercepted the quarterback. They run a crossing route. We had almost intercepted it before. And the umpire, we were right. We knew we were right. They called Andrew Billings for hitting an offensive lineman 10 yards behind the play. Taylor was gone. And this umpire saw this lineman fall. Well, the truth of the matter is he was trying to jump over, I believe it was Bo, and he fell, and Billings was behind him. And Billings had his hands up, did not touch him. And they called, that's what they called. And it was a terrible call. He never got it. And then the next play, we get down there. If you remember, we run a bender, and the only offensive face mask was on Corey Coleman.
Yep.
The kid had him by the collar, and it should have been a penalty on them. They called Corey at the 1 yard line for face mask. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember that because I don't think I've seen a call like that since.
Yeah.
Listen. We went back, and the guy that was the head of officials, Art asked him, how many in the ACC offensive face mask did you call on a receiver? And he said, none.
Yeah.
And he said, what would you call this? He said, I wouldn't call it anything. He said, because the defender had him in, horse collared. Mm-hmm. I mean, had him totally pulling his jersey off. But anyway, I mean, that's the play. The play I look back is the field goal. And I think, back to Chris, I think he'd have made it, but we were short. We lined up short, thinking we weren't going to kick it. The officials pushed us to get going. Art's trying to call a timeout, and then, unfortunately, we end up losing the game.
Phil, do you or will you, the day before workouts begin in August, whatever day that is, will you head into that night, go to sleep differently than you ever have before? Do you sleep the night before? Is it you can't wait to get up? What's that like as a coach, no matter how long you've been in the business?
Well, let me tell you something. You know, the 2 years I had 3 surgeries and rehab, and I missed it. And I thought, well, if the right situation ever comes, and there were some things, but I missed it. You never get over it. I mean, it's an addiction, but it's a passion. And you know, I think right now, I'd say this again. My brother asked me today. Jerry asked me. He goes, "Well, you got a chance. What do you think?" I said, "Well, a lot of it's going to be on what we do defensively." Mm-hmm. You know, and I tell the story. I told him back in the day, he goes, God almighty, he said, y'all opened up with TCU when I was at Baylor. And I said, we're going to beat TCU. And he always said, yeah, you'll beat them. They only beat you 67 to 10 in Fort Worth, whatever it was.
It was bad.
Yeah, and I always laughed. And I used to tell the kids, I said, where there's a will, there's a way. And I have the same type kids, and I think we can be, when I say this again, I'm not. It's always a journey, but I think we can be drastically improved. And yes, I still get the heebie-jeebies, and it excites me, and I'm drawing things during the day, and you have that little pep in your step that I probably hadn't had the last 2 years.
When you mentioned TCU, I thought about Mike Hicks intercepting that pass to basically seal the game. Yeah. That was going down to the wire. Hey, I know you know this, and it's your vacation to let you go as soon as we can, but we had Jim Grobe on. You know that. I told you that. We had Jim Grobe on probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is there anything Baylor could ever do enough for him?
No. He I've told you this privately. I mean, he inherited a bunch of butt-hurt coaches. We felt like we had been slandered, which we still feel that way. And we had done a job there what we were proud of, and we got ostracized. And Jim came in and knew none of us except for me a little bit, and just kept this thing together. I've told you many times, great at just admire him immensely. And he and Holly came down, and you don't coach for money. People say, well, he got paid. Trust me, I was in the meetings with him. It was never about money. He wanted to help, and he wanted to win. And I just admire, and I think Baylor should always appreciate that year, even though, that last game, I can't tell you how hard we all worked, beat Boise, because we thought Boise was really a good team, and we all wanted to finish on a positive note. And Jim was one of those reasons. He one of the finest men I've been around. He's balanced. He's he's a guy that he truly thinks things out before he speaks, and he always thinks the best for the players. And I admire him immensely.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear, Coach. I don't know when we're going to talk to you again because I know you're busy, so I have to ask you, especially being at a school like North Texas, I mean, the odds are still, tough for the non-Power Fives, but what are your thoughts, especially given the first year of the playoff, Baylor was team number 5 out of the 4 that made it on an expanded playoff. What do you think?
Well, I like the 18 thing. I think it will help, get some potential Power Fives. I thought last year, Cincinnati was I thought they were a true player. If you watched them against Georgia, it was to the wire. They were a team that probably deserved an opportunity. You're always going to have, those type teams, BYU, those guys. And I just think sort of like in basketball, the teams that you really don't know that much about that come in, the Butlers and the Loyolas of Chicago. I think it's good for football that people have that. And I think that, some people say, well, it's going to be more Big Ten schools, more SEC schools, more, I'm not sure about that, but I think it opens the door, and that's why they're trying to do it, which I think is a good idea.
Man, we appreciate you, man. Can't wait to have you on, hopefully sometime during the season, Phil.
Oh, absolutely. I've missed you guys. I've always had fun. It will be interesting to see, how this season goes. But I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of coaches are excited. Hopefully we can get through these COVID days and it can get back to somewhat normal. And what those guys did last year is unbelievable. God bless everyone who coached last year, what they had to go through, players and coaches.
Phil Bennett, North Texas defensive coordinator, great friend of our show and also us personally. Great to have Coach Bennett on the show. He always brings something that we didn't know. And the Michigan State field goal attempt. I had not heard that story. Maybe I had. Maybe I wasn't listening well enough in the post game because that was like going into a morgue. but that they were going to take a timeout and they shouldn't have snapped the ball.
Yeah, for some, your mind kind of play tricks on you. Now I'm thinking about it, and I'm starting to maybe convince myself I might have heard that at one point in time or something. But no, I mean that sounds almost brand new because it just seemed like really they were overwhelmed and got a kick blocked. But as easily as Michigan State blocked that kick, which was always what was odd to me, was like they did it so easily in a moment like that. That now makes a ton more sense. Yeah. And geez Louise, if you would have done just something slightly differently, then that kick doesn't get blocked, and that game's probably different, but it is what it is.
It's the one more score that they needed to where Michigan State probably does not have enough time, or even if they do have enough possessions, they're going to have to approach it way differently than they did.
And there would at least been some interruption in their momentum, and you can't guarantee that Callahan was going to make it, but odds are he probably would have. At least it wouldn't have been blocked and ran back all the way almost for a touchdown like it was. So, that was one of the more wild games. That must have been what it was like to be on TCU's side of 61-58.
Yeah,
that's probably what it was like.
You had the blocked field goal, but you had the Taylor Young return for a touchdown call back. You had the Corey Coleman.
That face mask was ridiculous. That was total garbage. I've literally not seen that call since that call was made, and that was the first time I'd ever seen it.
It's kind of like how often do you see targeting on an offensive player?
I saw one in the NFL 4 or 5 weeks, maybe not even that long, 3 weeks after that in a playoff game or something. Yeah. And I'm thinking okay.
Yeah.
And I was so maybe it's going to be a thing. And so I expected that was maybe something happened that was a point of emphasis, that it just hadn't happened all that much and nobody called it. And then all of a sudden it's no, I've not seen one. If I have, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Major Bowden and Braden Faulkner at China Spring over the weekend, committed to play at Lamar University, by the way.
Yeah, good for them. I know China Springs expecting to have a pretty good team this year, and Major Bowden is, along with Faulkner, but especially Major Bowden is a major part of that. He was a good little player when we saw him against Connolly, and played pretty well in that game. At least especially the first half. But no, he's a good player, and so is Faulkner, and so good for those guys.
As good as Emmanuel Abdallah was and China Spring was offensively, Major Bowden's a certain style quarterback. You can play in a certain system. He can play a lot of different plays. He's not very tall, quick, lightning quick, but he ran kind of that option look incredibly well.
He reminded me a little bit of a healthy Charlie Brewer, a healthy and confident Charlie Brewer, as far as not the biggest dude, but deceptively quick and can chew up some yardage if you don't, have a plan for him. And Bowden is reminds me a little bit of Charlie in that way, but he's good player and good pickups for Lamar for sure.
Again, another update. Logan Henderson of McLennan picked today in the 4th round by Milwaukee, and Andy Thomas was today picked. What was he in the 4th round as well? 4th or 5th round?
5th by Seattle.
By Seattle. That was again 145th Baylor baseball player all time to be drafted. Won in every of the last 31 Major League drafts, by the way, since 1991. A note from Baylor basketball or Baylor baseball, Max Calderon.
So, did you have any thoughts on Leiter to the Rangers as far as that goes?
That's to me the smart pick, the safest pick. I'm a little bit worried about. He's got a great fastball, but everyone does. But it seems to be at a different level. The concern is he gave up a lot of home runs in college.
Yep.
And we know where that game is now, and especially now with the change in the way they got away from whatever the pitchers were using.
I'll tell you this: if he can have his dad's career,
anything close to it,
and his, Al Leiter's not a Hall of Famer, but he was a very steady, good player and had some really good All-Star seasons over a 20-year career in Major League Baseball. So I think that for Major League Baseball, if you're a fan of a team, I don't think you should look at if you're the second pick in the draft, yes, you probably have higher expectations than somebody else, but you need to look at it as, it's not like the second pick in the NFL draft who you expect to have immediate impact and do that. But yeah, you should, think about careers in baseball. If you have a good, solid, long career, Hall of Famers just aren't born.
No. If the Rangers have had a lot of people picked in the first round. Mm-hmm. David Clyde, among others, of course, the phenom out of high school player that saved their franchise because he sold out a few games back in 1974, I think it was, and then eventually that just didn't work out, and then he got hurt. but they need someone to hit. They need someone to hit. And they've got a couple of 2 or 3 pretty good young pitchers that we're even seeing now, and they need Leiter. It can't be 4 years from now. They need him to pitch not too quickly, but not 3 or 4 years from now. They need him to come in and make an impact.
Yeah, you don't draft a veteran college pitcher to be in the minors for 5 years. And, you're drafting him because otherwise you'd go high school. You'd go with a high school pitcher if you were wanting to wait 5 or 6 years for a guy to be able to develop enough. So, no, you're going with a guy who's clearly closer to being ready, and that's what they need. They need a pitcher who's closer to being ready.
And look, Josh Young, who they drafted a couple years ago, I think he was the 5th or 6th pick. When they drafted him, he's ready to go. And that's he was 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
That's what
Davis
you want.
Winslow.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 or 3 years ago, that's what you want. Like, you want them pretty quickly when you're college players.
Dane Dunning, is that one of the is he a younger pitcher as well?
He's young. Yeah.
And there's another name or two that I've seen in there, and you just never know. It will be interesting between now and the end of the month, though, on who they keep and who they don't as far as trading between now and the deadline, which now even extends past that because it just happens.
A couple of other notes from that, though. Sam Houston, what a year they've had. They had a player go 5th overall in the draft. They won the football national title. And, they had an outfielder, Colton Cowser. Bad news for him, he's going to the clear worst baseball organization in the world right now, the Baltimore Orioles. But, he'll probably can go up the minors pretty quick in that organization, too. They are terrible. But Marcelo Mayer, I actually watched some of him, the flashy young Red Sox pick, the shortstop out of California. Did you check him out at all?
No. Oh, yes. I've watched last night when I saw the pick. I immediately went to YouTube and,
Did you contact the management and...
so far they've got my stamp of approval.
Okay.
Listen, Chaim Bloom clearly doesn't need my help. He's doing fine right
pretty
now.
well. This is a year they're ahead of themselves, aren't they? With what they're doing.
Yeah, I think so.
It is the All-Star break. I noticed one thing happened over the weekend that to me was like, whew, the ESPYs. Wasn't that always a Wednesday night thing? They did it on Saturday night this year, and I didn't even know it was on.
Yeah, well, I want to make one more mention from the draft because I don't want to talk about the ESPYs, but Max Muncy was also drafted.
But not
Max Muncy.
Relation.
No, but he went to the A's, too, of all teams. Max Muncy, he's a shortstop out of Thousand Oaks High School. He was a first-round draft pick by the A's, but no, that is not Baylor Max Muncy. But, yeah, I had no idea the ESPYs was on until I started seeing it on social media. And if social media didn't exist, I would have had absolutely no idea the ESPYs was on TV because I was focused on the UFC card like most everybody else in the world was. Once I realized it was on, I did remember that Baylor, the basketball team was up for Team of the Year, which the Buccaneers ended up winning that award. And that was the only interest I had in it to begin with. I haven't cared about the ESPYs in a really long time. It's just, I don't know. I just have no interest in it. It doesn't really mean much to me, but they apparently had a good little event, I guess.
I've said this many times. When they were doing a sports show, an awards was shows about games and players and highlights, it was fine. When they started to think they were the Academy Awards, they lost me, and I think they lost part of their soul during that time as well.
The other thing about it is that sports, if you're the MVP of your league and the league says you are, then that's something. But sports has the best team.
Yeah.
It's the one
who
hosts the trophy at the end of the year. So, and also it's not really fair to compare the Bucks to Baylor to the Lightning to the,
it's not.
It's all everybody's got different circumstances and things like that. So the best team overall is that's the big award because that's the one that cross compares. There's no fair comparison. It's a completely subjective.
It allowed them to rub shoulders with those who they wanted to rub shoulders with.
You mean Oklahoma softball didn't have a chance against the NFL team to win Team of the Year? I mean, come on,
And then here's the deal about the Bucks. Not that they don't deserve it, but they had, aside from Brady and Gronkowski and a draft pick or so, they had the same team. The year before, and so were they the best team? Maybe, I don't know. It's just
they were a hell of a team.
But the best moment was the Dodgers winning the World Series, which to me some of these feel like they're playing to the markets. Because I don't know.
Tampa's not a big market.
No, but Tom Brady is a market unto
he's
himself,
a national market. Yeah, it just I haven't watched. I bet I know Jared Butler was there. I saw a picture of him on the red carpet, but I just haven't. I just shut them down, and there were certain things they did along the way, but mainly was because it became, look who else we can bring in that even trumps the stars we have, so we can have them tell us that LeBron James or that So Team or whatever. I just got, maybe that's me getting off my.
No, it's like the Academy Awards, and the Academy Awards aren't really worth watching now.
Way out of whack.
Well, I mean, this year, this year, this is the year where nobody went to the movies, but it kind of was basically boiled down to what the Academy Awards is. You stripped off all the layers. We got to start giving awards to movies that people see.
Actually watch, yes, exactly.
I mean, I don't care what they're about, but people need to see them.
The movie of the year, you just don't get it. Like, well, okay, well, then it's not, like, I don't know, man. I think that the movie that made, I don't think that the best-selling movie is necessarily the movie of the year, because it could be just like a cartoon. But I definitely don't think the movie that made, hardly any money and that 1,000 people saw should trump all the other things that millions of people went out and saw. It's just silly.
When we come back, a couple of more notes here in this 5 o'clock hour. Paul's Top 5 at 5:55 will be at Big 12 Media Days, thanks to Three Nations Brewing Company on Wednesday and Thursday at AT&T Stadium. Wednesday night, there's a meet and greet at 7 o'clock at their location off I-35 and in Carrollton. This is SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com. What can they do? Save you hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. How? If you have something that is really bothering you that is it's painful. It hurts. Your knee, your shoulder, somewhere in your body, and a doctor suggests you need an MRI to make sure that they can spotlight exactly what's wrong, get the evidence of what hurts. Maybe it's a torn rotator cuff. Maybe it's an ACL. Maybe it's something that, they just want to get an MRI to make sure. Ideal MRI can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, because their MRIs are $497 every single time or less. And the average MRI is $1,100. Just do the math. That makes sense. And, by the way, that's every time. Not like $497, then $150 more the next time, or $1,500. $497 or less every single time. And they're also doing a lot of these screenings now for fatty liver disease. If, in fact, you've not known that or you aren't sure, you never know. And they're doing that as well. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35, just on the other side of the access road up 340 and Highway 6. Dr. Rob Maxey and his staff, Al and others are amazing specialists in Texas. It's easy, no long wait when you get there for your MRI at IdealMRI.com.
Alan Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Cherokee and the new Grand Cherokee. Built tough as nails and able to stand up to any challenging off-road trails or city roads, travel with the innovative technology to meet your lifestyle. Jeep, a great SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, the best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340 or visit them online at AlanSamuelsDCJ.com. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302. You
want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care.
And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
All right, this story from Outkick the Coverage. They've gotten kind of snuggled up with RG3 quite a bit. We have a great relationship with him as well, but they've been all over this. Bobby Barack, RG3 now. We've heard about the story that he tried out for ESPN and Fox for college or NFL analyst work, and apparently it's the college analyst work, or maybe the NFL, but he says that RG3 now close to signing an actual talent contract with ESPN as a college football analyst. They would eventually use him as an NFL analyst as well. He hopes, of course, and he has told us here at SicEm365 Radio many times he wants to still play, but it appears as if, without doubt, he'll be a part of football next year. He and the timeline of when he probably needs to come to an agreement and when training camps begin here very shortly, and if somebody needs a quarterback, he would be one of the first names most likely called. So it appears ESPN may have the edge right now on whether or not when he becomes a TV analyst that he would be with ESPN and not Fox.
Well, I mean, I hope for his own personal wishes that that phone would ring. But if it doesn't, it's nice to have a backup plan. And in this particular backup plan, which I think Robert would probably excel at, which is why he's being courted by, the top places to go, I think is one he could really thrive in and do for the remainder of his career. He's that kind of a personality. I could easily see him like on the game day set, on Saturdays or something along those lines. And I do think college will be more where he has a bit more respect or reverence or whatever you want to say. But he'd be good doing the NFL too. So, very cool deal for RG3, and hopefully it works out for him in the long run.
I think he'll be fantastic. I do. I think he'll be a fantastic. I think maybe where you put him right now is, Tim Tebow's not going to be there. I wouldn't think, because he's trying to make the Jaguars.
Right.
So,
I don't know what to say, honestly. It's so distracting.
I don't know what's happening right now, but it seems exciting.
I'm going to give you a number for Andy Thomas. I know what it means, but he was drafted just now, okay? So there it is right there. Let's try to get him on.
Okay.
Baylor's Andy Thomas, who was drafted, as we mentioned earlier today. I was told he was not available till most likely Wednesday or Thursday, but he called back and said he could do right now. So I know, Armstrong, that throws everything for a loop, and you're frustrated, but that's you can try to get him on if we possibly can. All right. So Andy Thomas, Baylor baseball player who was drafted earlier today, I believe, was it Milwaukee, Craig? Did you mention that? No, not Milwaukee.
No, it was Seattle.
Seattle will try to join us here momentarily on SicEm365 Radio. All right, we'll try to get him if we possibly can. Top 5 at 5:55 will be coming up as well. Emma Marquise is in the studio with us today, and found out Marquise actually lived at Yokota Air Force Base back when he was Yokota Air Force Base in Japan, where I was as well back when he was a teenager. Joined now by Andy Thomas of Baylor, drafted by Seattle today in the Major League Baseball amateur draft. Andy, I know there's a lot of decision-making ahead of you, but what was it like to get that call? Thanks for your time today, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been a crazy day, like most draft days are, but it was unbelievable. So many emotions, happiness, joy, just it's hard to put into words all the different emotions that were going on inside my body, but it was awesome, to say the least.
What's the wait like to go through, 4 rounds into the 5th round and wait for your name to wait for that phone call?
Yeah, I'm sure for some other guys it's a little bit more scary. For fifth-year seniors, it's not as scary. It's basically if you're going to get a chance. And I had some good knowledge early on in the last week that I was probably going to go in the top 10 rounds. And then as of yesterday and this morning, I had been told it would be somewhere between 4 and 6. So I had some good idea of when I was going to go. I got missed early on by the Rangers in the 4th. And then Seattle, I got a phone call from Seattle and they said, "Hey, you want to do this thing?" And I'm like, I can't wait. and they said, "All right, we're going to take you with our 5th round pick." And I'm like, you just made a little kid's dream come to reality. So it was incredible.
Is it what you kind of pictured it would be like growing up and thinking of, having the opportunity to play Major League Baseball, getting that phone call? Was that a dream checked off for you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why we do it. Well, most people, it's why we're playing, trying to get to that next level, the next level, the next level. And finally that call came. It's been a long time coming. I had some chances after my junior year and a little bit of interest last year, but I really wasn't done at Baylor. And luckily I had the season I did, and teams liked me enough to be able to take me this early on. So I'm over the moon, excited to be a Mariner. I get some confused, honestly, about COVID years, extra year, whatever. But you just mentioned it, 5th-year senior. That's a no-brainer. There is no decision here, right? This is correct. You make this work out, and you get that done as fast as possible. What's the timeline? The timeline for going forward, or how it worked today? Yeah, we saw what happened today. How quickly do you now sign with Seattle? So that's still up in the air. They're trying to get everybody. I think what the Mariners do is they get everybody to Arizona, get your physicals done, all that good stuff, paperwork, the contracts, all that stuff. And I believe they're going to put us through some sort of mini camp out in Arizona, and then send us where they see fit. So, I mean, it's probably going to happen sometime this week, probably Friday or Saturday. But yeah, I'm just excited. I got to move into a new place, my fiance up in Addison on the 23rd. So I may not be able to get to do that, but I'm hoping that they extend it just enough to where I can do that and then head off and play. So it's quick.
Hey, Andy, let me give you a little secret. Moving sucks. So here's the deal. If you have an excuse to get out of it, now I know your fiance might be mad at you, but look, you gotta go chase your career.
Hey,
man.
it's the Mariners.
Right? It's the Mariners.
What am I supposed to do here? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, I'm so pumped. I can't wait to get back on the field. It feels like it's been another COVID year since the season ended. So I just can't wait to get back out there and compete again and show everybody kind of with the Mariners exactly what I know. So I'm just pumped to get back out there.
Growing up a California guy, I would imagine you probably saw a lot of Mariners baseball, or did you? Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, no, we had season tickets for the Padres. I mean, the Mariners have been an American League team. Right. But, I mean, they would come through town, and, we took a trip up to Seattle not that long ago, and we've been before. So the history in Seattle is unbelievable. So were you a big Padres fan growing up?
Yeah, I was as much as you could be in the early 2000s. They were bad there for quite a long stretch, but I was a Padre and I was a Red Sox fan. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I can't describe it any other way as like a newborn child happening. It's like I am so in love with the Mariners. I'm all about the Mariners. Like I'm going to do research on the Mariners for hours tonight.
Dave Kingman,
Ichiro, and Ken Griffey Jr. A lot of that. Randy Johnson, Jay Buhner.
Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr., but former McLennan star Jay Buhner, who played right here in Waco back in the day, helped win a national championship, played with the Mariners back when they were amazing. The DH, Paul.
Edgar Martinez.
Edgar Martinez.
Yeah.
Andy, you mentioned the anticipation. What is that like, though? Even though they kind of gave you a heads up, how can you try to explain the stress level and anxiety?
Yeah, no, that's the right word, is anxiety. I'm a really calm person. I don't get nervous at the plate. I don't get nervous behind the plate. It can be in front of 20,000 fans at Minute Maid. That doesn't make me nervous. What made me nervous is waiting today. You just don't know. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, maybe the 4th, maybe the 5th, maybe the 6th, and you see other names go by, and all sorts of thoughts come in your head, like, well, do they really want me? Was it all talk? So just a bunch of different emotions were going through my head, but no, it was worth all the worry and all the wait. So.
Do they envision you as a catcher?
Yes, 100. I hope so. That's what they drafted me as, and that's the conversations we had as. So,
do you know that this is now the 31st consecutive year Baylor baseball's had somebody drafted?
That's pretty impressive. I'm really, really glad that I get to continue that legacy, and maybe more guys from our team will tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so as well. Andy, I know you got to go. So happy for you. I can't even imagine that feeling. Congratulations, good luck, and go get all that Mariners gear you possibly can.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. We were expecting maybe Andy in a day or two, but got it back with us, and, man, it's great. What great story for Baylor baseball. Andy Thomas selected 5th round by the Seattle Mariners. What do you want to do here? Take a quick break?
All right. Let's go right to it.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Open now. We open up this weekend with some great shows. You can get your tickets at slapstickscomedy.com. Always going to have shows. Always going to have a fun time. Lots of great stuff going on at Slapsticks. Top 5 Big 12 storylines going into the year as we're here at Big 12 Media Days week. So all these top 5s will be Big 12 related this week. Number 5, what's going on at Texas Tech? Like, that's what that's the best way I can kind of describe my thoughts on Texas Tech is what's going on. Is Matt Wells going to improve the team? Does the quarterback transfer help? Because if they have another really bad year, Kirby Hocutt and maybe the people above Kirby Hocutt have to really look at what's going on with that football team and what the direction for the program is, because they're all over the map.
I think they are one of the least interesting teams in college football that we're going to talk about on a regular basis. The Oregon transfer should make a difference at quarterback, but, is he going to be that much better than Colombini or whatever the other dude that was always hurt, Bowman? I don't know.
He's gone now, I think.
Right. I'm saying, is he going to be better, like that much better than those guys? Because they were okay. They're always going to have some receivers that are good or whatever, but, a lot of the talk I see now is like believing the defense is going to be, a strong suit, and I don't know. They don't know what they are. They used to know what they were, and I think they've now, been in the midst of a major identity crisis, to your point, and I don't think that he knows what they are really either, unless there's some grand plan for this year.
Yeah, I don't know much about them. I don't. They had an identity. They still want to be that offensive team, but I don't know what to do. They're a wild card. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Number 4, Dave Aranda, year 2. How much did the new coaches make a difference in year 2? Do we see that, yes, the biggest jump you make is year 1 to year 2, especially your first year as a head coach, period, not at a program as a head coach period. What do those do? If you break it down very simply, if Baylor gets significantly better at one thing, this team could be really good because they have a bunch of guys who know how to win because they have won before. But it's the one thing that's the hardest to get good at in maybe all of college football. It's hard. It's harder to get good offensive linemen and good defensive linemen, which they have good defensive linemen, but better than their offensive line, than it is to find a quarterback who can win games for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people just don't know what to make of Dave Aranda. I really don't think people know what to make of him, and I think it's because he's not Mr. Press Conference and he's not Mr. Soundbite, and he's just like, hey, I just want to just coach football. And, so he doesn't have the personality thing that people might glom onto, and he doesn't have the record right now either. But what gets lost a lot of times is he was a first-year head coach in the COVID year. Like, it wasn't like he was taking over Clemson or Bama. He was taking over a program in the midst of a coaching transition in the worst year of everyone's life as far as just day-to-day living. And so, I think you got to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but I do think it leads to people not really knowing what to make of him, kind of like Matt Wells. And so this year is going to go a long way, one way or the other, for Dave Aranda in proving to people who he is as a head coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 3, Spencer Rattler's next step. He had an uneven start to the season, but once Craig and Smokey, he got going. He got really going. Yeah. And you think about a whole offseason that's not affected or as affected by COVID. I know part of it probably was, but not as affected by COVID. He's got some NIL deals going. Well, Raising Cane's one of the big one for him, and what's going to go on with him. And he's likely going to be a top 5 pick when he leaves Oklahoma, whether that's after this year or after next year, which I would assume it's probably after this year.
He's not going to be one that Oklahoma brings to Big 12 media days.
No, but he's just a redshirt sophomore. So, we'll see what happens with Spencer Rattler, and I'm just curious to see where he takes the Sooners this year, which could be really, really high.
Well, some people think they'll be a playoff team because the defense is better, and they just assume the offense will be. My biggest concern with Spencer Rattler is just him simply not letting immaturity or personality flaws, interrupt what could be a really good football career. Because if you're like my sister who first saw Spencer Rattler on that Netflix show, then you think he's an egotistical, cocky little scumbag, or whatever. But, I mean, he's a hell of a football player. So if he can let the ego kind of go to the side and just get coached up and improve on a weekly basis, he can be a number 1 overall draft pick. But you just got to go put your head down and do the work and not get caught up in all the talk and the NIL and all that other stuff.
He is dripping with great confidence because he has great talent. We'll see if it all can continue together.
Yeah. Number 2, what is Steve Sarkisian's immediate impact at Texas? Very curious to see what this really is. And I would just caution Texas fans, it may not be that great right off the bat. I mean, it may not be. I mean, you might be kind of an average team, which is what you've been. But I would say if you believe that Steve Sarkisian is the guy, maybe just back up off him.
Anytime, and they change a lot, there's any kind of change, the expectations because of who they are multiplied just because of the fact they're bringing somebody in. And a lot of it has to do with the people that cover them.
But you wouldn't have to change if things were good.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, he might be the next Mac Brown. He might be the next Charlie Strong. I don't know. But the hype train's in full force, and we will see. But I know it's going to be a tough Big 12 this year.
Look, Tom Herman had a great recruiting run right when he got there, too. And he's not.
So he was the next coming. He was one of their own.
That's what they're talking about Steve Sarkisian right now is he's got a great recruiting run. But, again, it didn't translate for anybody else.
When have they not?
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't translate for anybody else since Mac Brown. And number 1, can Iowa State really win the league? Craig believes they can. I thought now or never is a really tough way to put it, but if not now, when? I mean, you're Iowa State and you're built to this point. What Matt Campbell has done for you, not to say that he couldn't, continually farm good talent. But if it's not now, you got to wonder, what do you have to do at Iowa State to take that next step?
Quarterbacks back, a lot of starters, tons of starters.
Offensive line's all back. I mean, they're loaded
fantastic up. Tight end.
Maybe they're 2013 Baylor. Maybe they're about to be a part of this for the next several years. We'll find out, but this is the time.
They're going to recruit better and all that, but they're not going to have a Purdy and Kolar and all those guys all being seniors. Yeah, as juniors and seniors. seniors all at the same time. That takes time to get to that, and they had it set up really well. So, yeah, it's not now or never, but it's now or it might be a while.
Thanks to Seattle Mariners draft pick Andy Thomas, Baylor catcher Phil Bennett, Jeremy Warner, and also Kendra Gillespie. For Emma, for Marquise, for Jack, and also Armstrong, for Craig and Paul, I'm David Smoak, our great sponsors, and you, always you, for watching and listening to us on SicEm365 Radio. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.